Hello guys and Merry Christmas. Okay, so holiday is coming. Are you ready for a new Divide Impera campaign? Today we are trying to do something special because of the holiday. And over here I got a list of every faction in Total War Rome 2 Divide Impera mod in the Grand Campaign. And we are trying to make a list a ranking of how difficult their campaign will be. So as you know, the faction in Total War Rome 2 and Divide Impera, they don't have the same difficulty. Some factions are very easy to play with. Some factions are more difficult, and some factions are really difficult. That some factions have some really challenging campaign, and yeah, challenging means fun to me. But actually, if you are new to the game, you are new to Divide Impera, you can start with some easier faction that they were still very interesting, and I think you will have a good time with them as well. So with that list over here, I hope that I will be able to give you a hint of which faction is suitable for you to start a campaign right now. And yeah, let's go, and we will start with Rome. We start with Rome. Okay, so with Rome, you start with what can I say? Rome. With Rome, you start with a big territory right at the start of the game. You have Latium, you have Maurya, and which means you have a pretty good economy right at the start of the campaign. That an advantage of the Roman. You have two enemies at the very start of the game, the Etruria and the Epirus. The Etruria is pretty weak and can be easily dealt with by yeah, we can just get rid of them right now. In turn 2, if you send this army back, recruit some units and attack them, on turn 2 you will be able to take them out quite easily. The problem is the Epirus. The Epirus are much stronger compared to the Etruria. They have a city here, Tyrants, and attacking a city would be more difficult than attacking a small settlement, right? And also the Epirus, they have a very strong starting unit. They have pikemen, they have elephants, they have a starting elephant, they have good cavalry, they have good they have early turret unit. That will be very dangerous as well. So fighting against the Epirus with early Roman unit will be quite difficult. As Rome, you need to get the Polybian reform to get your heavy sword unit. Early on, you only have a lot of heavy spear option over here, and now these heavy spearmen will not be able to fight against the Epirus pikemen in a straight fight, so it will be pretty difficult to deal with them. And later, as the Roman, you will have to fight against the Carthage. That's the Punic War, right? When you take Syracuse, or the Carthage takes Syracuse, the Punic War will start, and you will have to fight against Carthage to the rest of the game. And they do have a very big territory, and they are quite powerful. So as the Roman, you have a strong economy. You can recruit units very quickly because you have the bonus to recruitment slot as the Roman. That's very powerful actually. You can raise army much faster than other faction. So you have a strong economy. With Latium, that's one of the richest province in the game. And you have a strong military because you can raise army very quickly. But you do have some initial challenge in the campaign, and in mid game will be very interesting fighting against the Carthage as well. Alright, so the Roman, I will rank them normal. Not too easy, but not too difficult. Because you have a strong economy and you have strong military, right? If you can utilize that, you can overcome all of this adversary throwing at you quite easily. But yeah, it's still quite challenging to fight the Epirus in the early game. Quite challenging. Dealing with their pikeman and elephant is not easy. So normal difficulty. Okay. Next will be Carthage. Alright. So as the Carthage, you start with even more territories compared to the Roman. You have a lot of territories, a very large area as Carthage. And also you have some client state in the back here as well, and they are really loyal towards you. You have good relationship with them, and this client state, they are not very likely to betray you, unlike the satrap of the Seleucid. So yeah, this Carthage campaign, very powerful economy. When you can build up Africa, when you can build up all of your territory here, upgrade the buildings, and deal with the public order problem, you will have a very massive economy as the Carthage. That will allow you to make very big army and fleet. As Carthage, you have a space port here in Carthage, and that will allow you to build some serious powerful fleet to move around and control all of this sea area. That's very powerful. And actually you just have one enemy, one potential enemy that can compete with you. That is a Roman. Just one. And with the powerful economy you can have, I don't think fighting against the Roman will be a very big problem at all. Especially when you have access to elephants, and you have the special mercenary barrack here, which allow you to recruit some very cool unit, really cool unit. You have access to Greek unit, hoplites, phalanx. You have access to some of these very cool Gallic unit, the spear, Gallic spearman, very effective. As this one, I really like this mercenary naked spear thrower. Look at this, they have really high melee defense, holy shit, and very high morale as well. Even though they don't have any armor, but that amount of melee defense and morale will allow them to stay in melee for a very long time. Just keep them away from enemy missile attack, and they will they will just fight forever for you. You will have the Gallic slinger over here, a very powerful unit, very powerful, and you have some really strong Iberian unit here as well. The champions, very powerful unit, and elephants and chariots, and wow, a lot of things. You have a lot of things to fight against the Roman. And actually the Carthage sacred band, the Carthaginian sacred band, they will be one of the strongest hoplite unit in the game when you get the reform for them. And you can actually recruit them everywhere when you upgrade the main settlement building over here. And you have some unique mercenary, factional mercenary here as well, which you can just recruit everywhere on the map. Okay, so actually I think Carthage, the Carthage campaign can be quite easy. Yeah, can be quite easy. We rank them as easy right now. Maintaining a very big territories can be, yeah, for some people that can be uninteresting to manage a very large territories right at the start of the campaign. Yeah, because it's more work you have to do every turn, right? Building this building up, or this building, you do have to deal with public order. You have to yeah, invest gold into building wisely. But it's not too difficult. It's not difficult. You just need to focus on 1 or 2 provinces to build up the infrastructure in there, and then you will have a very powerful economy, and a powerful economy will be enough for you to just win the campaign very easily. So easy or very easy. I think easy is a good place for a Carthage campaign. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So next we will go for, I think next will be, okay, next we will talk about the Successor Kingdom, the Diadochi, right? They will be the Epirus, oh, come on, the Seleucid, the Macedon, the Egypt, and the Baktria. That's the Successor Kingdom. Okay, so first the Epirus, enemy of Rome. Okay, so here's the Epirus. You start in with Taras and Apollonia, and you start at war with Rome. Okay, you are fighting against Rome right at the start of the campaign. So the cool thing about Epirus is that they have a very powerful starting military, very powerful starting unit. You have pikemen, the Bronze pikemen, and they are the strongest infantry. That's the strongest infantry in the game, in the front. But yeah, what else do you need? They are very tanky. They can hold the enemy for a very long time without taking any casualty at all. And you can recruit them right away at the start of the game with just the level 1 barrack. Actually, with just level 1 barrack, you already have access to most of the useful units at the Epirus. And you will also start with a Syrian elephant unit. That's a very powerful unit you have right at the start of the campaign. Very, very powerful. Just one unit of elephants can do a lot. Recharge the elephant into the enemy's infantry, and they will just insta rout. The elephant will make a very big impact in the battle you have to fight. And yeah, so you actually you have the strongest anvil here at the pikeman, and you also have the strongest hammer at the elephants. So basically you are very, very powerful in the early game. Aside from the pikeman and the elephant, you also have some very cool units as the Epirus, like this one. You have, for example, Thesprotian infantry. They are a very powerful sword unit. You also have access to early Turius reform. That means a lot. Normally you have to wait for 40 turn and Imperium level 3 to get the Turius reform. But as Epirus, you have it right away at the start of the game, and you can already recruit the Turius spearman, a very, very useful unit right at the start of the campaign. And the Turius swordman as well. Very, very good unit. you can have right away. When every other Greek stuck with the Greek infantry, a much weaker unit, you already have 2 swordmen, much better one. Yeah, that means you have very strong military compared to your neighbor. I think dealing with Rome will not be a problem at all. You can try to just recruit some units and rush the Roman really fast in the early game and just take Latium from them. And with Mana Gracia and with Latium, you will be able to get a very powerful economy. And that's when you steamroll the map and no one will be able to stop you because you have a very powerful unit, right? And if you don't want to fight against the Roman, you can just move back here to Apollonia and fight against the Greek faction over here. You have pikemen when your enemy will only have hoplites, and pikemen will just destroy hoplites. Yeah, the elephants will okay, I don't need to say that, but the elephant will just kill everyone. Yeah, right. So I think the Epirus campaigns will be easy. It's pretty easy actually. Some people might say that fighting against Rome that early is difficult, but I don't think so. Since you have much better military compared to the early Roman. If you let Rome grow for maybe 50 turn or 60 turn, they might become a threat. But you just attack them right away at the start of the game. That's very easy to destroy the Roman as the Epirus. Actually, I have a video on my channel that I used Epirus to rush the Roman very early on, and this takes only 4 turns for me as Epirus to fully destroy the Roman. 4 turns. That's that easy. Alright, so just easy. And actually, if you want to, I think Epirus, they actually have the strongest starting unit. Yeah, pikeman and elephant. That's the perfect combination. The strongest anvil combined with the strongest hammer. And you don't even need to build any building to get your elephants, since they are mercenary. They're factional mercenary. You can just get them everywhere you want. That's so powerful. They will replenish also slowly, but you can speed them up by equipping those ancillaries that increase the factional mercenary pool. Right. Easy. Epirus will be easy. So, how about the Seleucid? Right. Next will be the Seleucid. Okay. So again, as Epirus, you start with a very large territory. You have 3 provinces, and you have a lot of satraps in the east over here. A lot of them. But you also have very bad relationship with your satrap. And if you don't actively improve your relationship with your satrap over here, they will rebel against you very early on in the campaign, and then you will have to fight against them all. One way to prevent that to happen is to play aggressively, and you can try to declare war on the faction around you, like the Armenia here, for example. And when you fight wars against a common enemy, you declare war and your satrap will have to join. So you and your satrap will have a mutual enemy, and when you actively fighting against that mutual enemy, it will improve the relationship with all your satrap, and it will delay them from rebelling against you. Alright. As the Seleucid, it will have to fight against the Egypt here. War with the Egypt is inevitable and unavoidable. You will just have to fight against them. It's not a very big of a deal though, because Egypt, normally they are not really a threat. After so many Seleucid campaigns I have done, there are no campaigns that I have problem dealing with the Egypts at all. They normally pretty weak. And a cool thing about the Seleucid is that you also, actually, all of the Successor kingdom have weight unit. Seleucid as well. You don't have as strong early units as the Epirus, but the late game unit of the Seleucid is just massive. They have the Thorax Bronze Shield Pikeman, who is just really powerful. The Thorax Bronze Shield, the Thorax Silver Shield Pikeman. They are just absolutely powerful. Very strong unit. They are even stronger than the elite first class pikeman in the game, and they are the second class unit. Very, very, very powerful. That's Silver Shield. The Thorax version of them. Very, very powerful. And you also have a very cool unit, the Silver Shield Swordman. I really like this unit. Very good one. Good armor, good attack, and they come with defensive test to do and defensive formation as well. Very useful. And you have good cavalry, and you also have elephants at Seleucid. But your elephant will not be available very early on at the Epirus. You will need to upgrade your building, like over here, upgrade to level 3 to get access to Syrian War Elephant. That's a very powerful one. And you need to upgrade your barrack to level 4 here to get access to your Indian Armors Elephant. Also a very, very powerful elephant unit. But you will need to upgrade first before you get them. So as in the Seleucid campaign, you will very likely to have many wars around this area. You have to fight against the Egypt. You have to fight against the Nomads here, probably, and will be a very high chance that your satrapies over here will betray you, and you will have to fight against them as well. Probably, even if you try to maintain good relationship with them, at one point in the game they will betray you. Probably, and you will have to fight against the Media here. You have to fight against the Armenia here, probably, and also this Galatian, this faction in Asia here. You will have to fight against them as well. So a big territories, but they are very, very far from each other, especially this province. All of these settlements very far away from each other, and defending your territories in this huge area will be pretty difficult to defend your territory, and you have to fight war in multiple fronts. So actually this is not too difficult, because you have a very strong military, and your military here, your units here will be stronger than most other factions around this area. At least infantry. You have better infantry than everyone here. You have the best infantry in this whole area. Combined with elephants and good cavalry, you will be fine. You will be fine, seriously. No. But it can be quite difficult fighting too many different enemies at once, right? So over here, I think we give Seleucid a hard rating. rating, because many enemies, right? You have to and public order will also be a problem, and defending will be quite difficult as well. You have to use your armies at the right place and at the right time to fight against your multiple enemies and to defend yourself. So Seleucid will be hard. Yeah, I think so. All right, now Macedon. Okay, so here we go. As the Macedon, you only have one settlement at the start of the campaign, that Pella, and yeah, it's a very good city actually, a very good city. The good thing about Pella is that it's in a very strategic location in the map. Like it's blocked it's the gateway to move from Greek to Thracia, to Thrace and into Asia on land. So anyone who want to move from Greek into Thrace, we have to move through Pella, and anyone who want to move through from Thrace and Asia to Greek over here, we have to move through Pella as well on land, by land. And it's a very strong city with a very big garrison inside, which means you will be able to defend that city just fine, very easily. If you want to, you can make a few pikemen and as a garrison inside the city, and it will be invincible. No one will be able to take it, no matter how many units they bring. They will not be able to take it, ever. Yeah, and the cool thing with Macedon is that they have a special general bodyguard. Their general bodyguard have double the size of a normal one. Like over here, you can see the cavalry general have 200 men in their unit instead of 120. That's really a big of a deal, since that general bodyguard unit will be very powerful in the early game. They are very heavy cavalry with massive stat, very good armor. They are very fast for a heavy shock cavalry as well, with 7 speed, the same as the Thessalian cavalry over here, but they have much better stat, as you can see. Yeah, much better stat. So they will be a force to be reckoned with in the early game. I think they can even be, yeah, as strong as an 11 unit, and you can get a few of them very easily by just raise some armies here. Yeah, and you have some very powerful cavalry unit instantly right on turn 2. That will allow you to rush your neighbor very easily with a few general bodyguard and a few pikemen, and a few general bodyguard. That's very powerful. So as the Macedon, you will be able to rush Larissa right on turn 2 very easily, and you can rush the Epirus here, take Apollonia from him, and when you are at war with Epirus, you will be able to be friendly with Rome, and you can just take every of this area very quickly and very easily. The problem with Macedon is that they tend to have more enemy at the start of the campaign. You're starting at war with this faction over here, and the barbarian in this area will likely to declare war on you, so you have to fight against them. But you have strong, very strong general bodyguard, you have pikemen, so you should be able to deal with them pretty easily. And especially if they attack you here in Pella, they just will not be able to do anything. They will not be able to take your city, because it's a very strong, very powerful one, with like one hoplite general like this one, with 300 men strong hoplite general bodyguard, and with a few pikemen you can recruit here. Like just three pikemen here should be more than enough to defend Paula against like any kind of enemy. And as what I really like about the Macedon is that they have that elite short pike unit. That elite short pike unit. The royal pikemen, the Peltas pike. They are a very good unit. I really like them. They are fast. They have pike formation. They have good amount of men in their unit. They have really good melee attack, charge bonus, weapon damage, and armor. So basically this unit here, they are a shock infantry unit. We have the pike phalanx formation. So they are very strong at attacking, flanking the enemy, and they are near invincible in melee. Near invincible. They will only lose to long pike, but they can fight much better than the long pike outside of the formation, which makes them be a very flexible unit on the battlefield. Very flexible unit. You can use this unit to flank the enemy. You can use them to counter enemy cavalry. They do have very good bonus versus cavalry, and they have very good armor to fight against the cavalry in melee. They are fast, so they can be used to support cavalry fight. They're very fast. You can use them to protect the flank of your formation. You can use them to counter flank the enemy. You have so many things you can do with that unit. And in case you need them to fight on the front line, they will do just fine against like almost all unit in the game, except the long pike. They will only lose to the regular pikeman, the long pikeman, in a straight fight. So a very cool unit you have at the Macedon. And over here you have the elite version. Yeah, I think this unit is way overkill. They are just a monster. Yeah, they would just destroy everything. Right. Okay. So Macedon, I will rate them as normal because of how strong their start can be, how strong their units are, and yeah, not too easy because you will likely to have many enemy around you, but not hard because dealing with your enemy will be quite easy with your powerful unit, with your powerful general bodyguard. Alright, next will be Egypt. Okay, so here we go, another diadochi, another successor kingdom of Alexander. That's the Ptolemy Egypt, and I think the Egypt campaign is one of the most easy, one of the easiest campaign in the game, in the mod divided empire as well, because you start with Egypt, a very powerful province with 2 wonder and 1, 2, 3 resources. Holy crap! Wow, what can you ask for more? 3 resources and 2 wonder in a 4 settlement province. That too powerful. Too powerful. This right at the start of the campaign, you already have 4,000 income with just Egypt. Holy shit! And you will have more over here. You have this one as well. You have Libya with another wonder here. Damn it. That's the last wonder you have at the Egypt right at the start of the campaign. So right at the start of the campaign, you already have huge income compared to other faction, right? 7,000 income at the beginning of the campaign is very, very strong, and you have a lot of food as well. Holy crap, that's so powerful, so powerful. And your starting position is pretty safe as well. You have good relationship with all of this desert faction around you, and even if they attack you, they will not be able to do anything because you are much stronger than them, much stronger. You can just take them out really easily, but you don't even need to do that. Your only enemy here, notable enemy here, will be the Seleucid. But the Seleucid also, they are never a threat in the Egyptian campaign, because they will be busy fighting many wars around them. They will have to fight against many different enemies around them, and when you actually get here to fight the Seleucid, they will be really weak. Even if they can be big, but they are not strong at all. You will have settlement over here. You can raise army here and start taking settlement around this area. And after you take Asia, wow, yeah, 2 wonders here as well. You have 5 wonders as you can have 5 wonders as Egypt very early on in the war, in the campaign, and that the wonder will give you massive wealth. Okay, now speaking about the Seleucid military, they do have some really interesting unit. So unlike the Seleucid or the Epirus, who have very powerful starting unit, at the Egypt you have less powerful unit but much cheaper one. You have the native pikeman, that like the Levi pikeman. They are weaker than the bronze shield pikeman or the silver shield pikeman of the Seleucid or of the Epirus. Your elephants will be just unarmored one, unarmored elephants, not the big armor elephants of the Epirus or of the Seleucid. But your units are really cheap, both in upkeep and in population. Like you only need the 3rd class population to recruit the pikeman. So you can make armies very easily in the early game. The native pikeman will be available at tourist reform. You will have access to that unit, and they are cheap but very effective. They're still pike unit. They can still hold against most other enemy just fine, and they are very cheap, and you only need to spend the 3rd class population to recruit them. And you do have some very good carry option here, like the linen cataphracts, a very good carry option, and they are also very cheap and only use the 2nd class population, unlike the other elite carry of the other faction, who will require you to use your 1st class population, which can be a problem. But even if you need to use your 1st class population, it will not be a problem at all, since you will have a loss of population in this area, right? And yeah, very strong, very powerful one. You have access to some really good Galatian mercenary in this area as well. Really good one. Yeah, and very powerful. So basically, a very powerful economy in a very safe starting position. You don't have any threat around you at all, and just one enemy, and they are not even strong. So the Egypt campaign here will be very easy. I think it's one of the easiest campaign we have in the entire game, right? Very easy. And okay, so we have the Baktria here. All right, so the last successor kingdom we are talking about here would be the Baktria, and they start in the edge of the map. They're nothing more over here. They are in the edge of the map. They have 2 provinces at the start of the campaign, and actually Baktria is a very rich one with gold and with spice and gold. Really good combination. And you also have another resources here, wood. So this will be a very powerful province, which will give you a lot of income when built up, right? Starting in the edge of the map like this will also be another advantage of the Baktria, which means they can only have one front war. Yeah, we don't need to care about this area at all because no one here, right? We just expand in one direction. That one big advantage of the Baktria, right? And the early game, you just start next to a bunch of Seleucid satrap over here. You have to work with this faction, but you can really get rid of them very easily. Just have one settlement and you have one army here. Just move straight here, recruit unit and hide mercenary on the way. You can get another Jaros here or whatever you like and rush them on turn 3 or 4, and it will be very easy to take this guy out. And you can choose to stay back and build up that 2 province into some massive economy, and then when the Seleucid satrap here rebelled and declare war on Seleucid, which means they will also be at war with each other. You can just go ahead and pick them out one by one. That's very easy. Very easy. And also at the Baktria, you do have a very unique and very interesting unit roster. You have access to basically everything in the game. You have pikeman, you have hoplites, you have good sword unit, you have 2-handed unit, you have 2-handed axeman, very good one. You have good archer. You even have Cretan archer after reform. You have horse archer. You have cataphract. You basically have everything. You have elephant. You can recruit the mercenary elephant right at the start of the campaign. They are very expensive, but they are also very strong, very powerful one. Yeah, that's the most. I think the Baktria over here, they do have the most diverse units roster in the game. They basically have everything. Yeah, everything. I think they even have some legionary like units in the late game, right? Some units with defensive formations, swordman with defensive formation. I don't know, but yes, basically they have everything. So let's see. I think I think the Baktria campaign here will be another very easy campaign because of how strong they are. Very powerful economy, very powerful units roster, very diverse units roster. They have basically have everything. Yeah. And They just have to expand in just one direction. That's a very big advantage. Very big advantage compared to other faction. Okay, so we are done with the Successor Kingdom. Let's go for the Maurya real quick, right? The Maurya, a faction, unit faction that you only have in Divide Impera, and they are actually very interesting. Alright, so here we have the Maurya. They're basically the India faction, right? And they start right here, also at the end of the map, but in the middle of the desert. They have spies as starting resources and also fish here, but only 2 settlements in this province. And actually, they are not really rich. Only a little bit more than 1,000 income in the early game. So the start can be quite rough. You don't have a very good economy. The good thing about the Maurya here is the desert. Yeah, and the harsh summer that will be happening quite frequently in this area. In harsh summer, it will take attrition, and your population will be really bad. It will be really scarce with the population. You will have to fight against the cultural differences over here in this area, since you are the only you are the only Hindu in this area. You will have to spread your culture around to let your population grow. So as a Maurya, population will be a very big problem, and your starting unit is not great either. You only have access to pretty much basic levy unit in the early game. You need to build your barrack, upgrade your barrack up to be able to recruit more units, which means you also need to research the technology for them before you can build the building, before you can actually build the building, right? So the start can be quite rough. Bad economy, bad unit, and very bad population. Very bad population. But what cool thing about the Maurya is that they have a very strong unit roster. Yeah, again, very strong unit roster with the strongest elephant in the game. They have the strongest elephant in the game, and you can have elephant Gero bodyguard, right? That Gero bodyguard will be really powerful. You have chariots as well, and their chariots also very powerful. At the Mauryan, you have access to some very cool infantry unit, as well as the longbowman, who have the best range in the game. They have the best range in the game with 250 range. That's very long, even longer than Rhodian slinger and ballistic slinger, right? Even longer than crossbowman. Holy crap! And you have some very cool two-handed units here. The warrior skillsman and the heavy marksman, and some very cool unit, very cool infantry, cool archer, and very good elephants, which will be available over here, right? Yes, you have a set to very powerful elephant units as the Maurya. And later we will have some pretty good cavalry as well when you got the reform. Alright. And over here you will have your neighbor will be the Seleucid satrap as well. So declare war on them early on. Well, I don't think it will be a good idea. At the Maurya, you can just stay back. It will be a very slow start. Stay back and try to build up your economy. Try to get more population in your province. And when the Seleucid satrap over here rebelled against their overlord, and that's when everyone in this area will be at war with each other. That will be the time you can start to move out and attack and take settlement, pick declare war on these Seleucid satrap and pick them out one by one, like this. Okay, quite a rough start, but it's not too difficult. Because these Seleucid satrap over here, they are the satrap of the Seleucid, which means they have no political power. They can't declare war on you even if they want to. So you are very safe. Yeah, they cannot declare war on you even if they want to, right? You are pretty much safe over here. You don't need to recruit any unit. And my advice here is that you just disband this army. Make another one with the cheap general bodyguard option. The swordman here, for example, to be the governor over here as well. Just make another random army. As oh, okay. Just make a random armies with the swordman over here to be the governor of this area, and you start building your economies up, upgrade your building, research the technology, which will allow you to upgrade your barrack. Build this one, for example, get your economy up, and wait for the Seleucid satrap to rebel against their overlord, and then by that time you will have enough. You will have a pretty good economy already. You can recruit some decent unit, and you can start moving out and start taking settlement. Yeah. But after that, you will still have the control problem, and you will still have the population problem because you are the only controller in this area. So the Maurya campaign, I think we will rank it on hard. It's quite hard. Being the only controller in the regions is really hard. You need to spread your control around to be able to have the population, and without a population you will have very bad replenishment. Recruitment will be also very difficult, and the hot summer and the desert will add more into this difficulty. So it will be a hard campaign. Not too hard, but hard. Alright, now next we will talk about the Gallic faction, the Celtic faction. They will be the Galatian. Yeah. Who else? The Scordisci. Okay, let's just talk about the Galatia first. They are one of the more interesting faction in the game. Okay, so here we have the Galatia. I think that's one of the most interesting faction, one of the most interesting campaign in the entire game. You are Celtic people, but you start in the middle of Asia, yeah, Anatolia. So you are the only country in this area, and you have many different kind of enemy to fight around you. You have the Greek, you have the Easterner, you have fellow barbarian in this area. You will meet the Nomads here as well, and yeah, the Thracia. Wow, so many different kind of enemy you can fight at the Galatia. And as a Galatian barbarian, you have very cool unit, very offensive unit, but low armor. Yeah, this naked spear warrior is one of my favorite units in the game. They have good speed, they have a loss of javelin for ammunition, they have massive offensive start, very good melee attack for a spear unit. Well round. Okay, offensive spear. Look at that. They have very good sharpness and good weapon damage. I really like the unit. No armors, but who care about armors when when you are attacking, right? So start in the middle of Asia. This start, I don't think it's a too difficult start actually. You have access to some very cool mercenary around. You can take them. You can take advantage of them. You have some pretty cool units at the Galatia. When you upgrade your barrack here, you will have access to some really cool unit. The Galatian Turret Spear is one of the best Turret Spear unit in the game, and they will be able to hold the line effectively against most enemy. And you have the Galatian Swordman, the cheap third class population sword unit, which are really decent as well, pretty good, and available early on. And the Galatian X-Men have really good armor. They are really good as well, with 3 speed. And later in the game, when you have the reform, you will have the Galatian Legionary as well. Yeah, not as strong as Roman Legionary, obviously, but they do have very good armor and defensive formation. That's good enough for a frontline unit, right? And your Galatian Thorax Infantry is one of the best sword unit in the game. One of the best. With a lot of armor. Very high armor. Defensive formation and very good melee stat. That's one of the best sword unit in the game. Very cool. Alright. You have access to some chariots here as well. And the naked warrior would be very awesome. But being the only control in this area can be difficult. Yeah, and your starting unit is not great either. You only have access to the Levi Spear, Levi Slinger at the start of the campaign. So rushing a neighbor here will be quite difficult, but you can get the mercenary to you can get the mercenary to fight the early battle. So it's not really a big problem for the Galatia. So I think the Galatian campaign here, we'll rank them as normal. Not too easy, but not too difficult. But it's a very interesting one. I'm sure it will be a very interesting one. Alright, next we try to talk about the Arverni, right? Why not? The Arverni, one of the very interesting barbarian Celtic faction as well. Okay, so here we go, the Arverni. One of the very interesting faction in the game. And I really like their units roster, the Arverni. Really like it. So the start, you don't have access to very good unit in the start as the Arverni. Your best unit in the early game is actually this Slinger. Yeah, very funny, right? Your Slinger Spearman. That's the best unit at the start you can get as the Arverni. But when you are able to upgrade your barrack here, you have access to some very cool unit at the Arverni. You have the Veteran Spearman, who is third class population and a very good spear unit you can use against your enemy. They can hold the line really effectively against many kind of enemy. And you also have access to the naked spearman. Where are they? Level 4. That's quite late. But the Gallic naked spearman also very strong. just like the naked spearmen of the Galatia, not as strong as the Galatia naked spear actually. They have less armor, less military defense, and less ammunition, less morale as well, but still a cool unit you can have. And the Gallic champion is absolute monster. Yeah, they have huge melee attack, good melee defense, very good melee charge minutes and weapon strength and everything. This guy a very strong sword unit, very strong sword unit you can have in the game. Very good one, a very good one. You have very good shield walls at Arverni as well. And one more thing about the Arverni is that they have really good cavalry. Really good cavalry. Even the medium cavalries of the Arverni is really good already. With the special mount, my reports, they are the best cavalry in this area. They have the best cavalry unit in this area. The Arverni cavalry, I think they only weaker compared to the Eastern Carthage. They will be able to win versus Roman cavalry quite easily, and they will be able to defeat most of the enemy cavalry in this area. They are simply the strongest. Okay, but the start of the Arverni can be quite difficult actually, because you don't have good starting unit. You have to rely on this light spearman, which is pretty bad. Heavy tires and very bad start. No armor at all. And relied on the slinger and light cavalry in the beginning of the game. You don't have access to good mercenary in this area either. Just a very bad mercenary warband. Pretty bad unit actually. And to be able to get good unit, we need to upgrade your building. Upgrade your barrack here, which requires you to research the technology. It will take quite a while to get your better unit. Right. Actually, I think it's better to upgrade it into a horseband, since you can recruit your medium cavalry here right away, and that's an advantage you can have against your enemy. It will not be able to recruit the... it will still be able to recruit the light spearman, since they are available in the main settlement building as well, and the slinger. So your starting move over here as the Arverni should be upgrade the barrack into the horseband and try to get some cavalry, some heavy skirmisher. They're quite decent actually. Quite decent at flanking. So basically, light spear, make an armies of light spear, slinger, and cavalry, good cavalry, and heavy skirmisher, and try to take one settlement around this area. Either this one or this one. Yeah, I think it will need to set up some ambush in this area. Try to kill the enemy army first before you make the counter attack and take their city. This is a more difficult start compared to the other faction, for sure. You don't have a water settlement, you just have a minor settlement. You do have gold, but with just 2 building slot here, you will not be able to do anything, right? You can only have 1 more general bodyguard, and you cannot rush another settlement very early on for that looting goal. So this can be quite a difficult start, quite a difficult one. But this will be a very interesting one for sure. The late game Arverni army will be very interesting. with so many cool units, especially the champion. I really like that unit. I really like that unit here. The Arverni champion. And the Oswan. The early Oswan is quite weak, but the late one, very good. Yeah, Shield Wall Spearman. They have good Shield Walls here as well. Good Shield Wall, good cavalry, good Spearman, first class Spearman. Good Axeman. Good Axe, quite good Axe. Not as good as the Galatian, obviously. Actually, they're way weaker than the Galatian, so Axeman. But whatever, you have good sword already, right? And good cavalry. Compared to the Galatian, the cavalry of the Arverni will be much better. Much better. Alright, so the Arverni start will be hard. Quite difficult. It's very hard. Nope. It's only hard. Yeah, hard. So next will be the Boii, right? Okay, so here we go, the Boii. The Boii. So the same as the Arverni, the Boii start can be quite difficult because they don't have good early unit. Actually, as a Boii, even have better early unit compared to the Arverni. You have access to better light spearman. The light spearman of the Boii is actually a little bit better, stronger than the light spear of the Arverni. Just a little bit stronger, but it's something, right? And you have access to the Boii also infantry. They are not really a good unit, but they are quite decent. And both of them are very cheap. So you can actually use this guy to fight your early battle. Just fine. You do have two settlements as a Boii. So your economy at the start of the campaign will be better compared to the Arverni. However, the Boii, they do not have the good cavalry like the Arverni. Their cavalry is really bad. Really bad. However, the Boii, they do have some very cool units as the Boii Knight Warrior, a very strong archer unit, which is really good in melee as well, and 200 men in their unit. A very cool unit, an archer with big shield and very good in melee. This unit is really cool, and they have scare as well. That will reduce enemy morale, so you can break them easier. Okay, so in terms of difficulty, the Boii start can be quite difficult as well. Like if you want to attack someone around here, they will have a city, a warless settlement to defend against you here. And you will want to move here to attack the UPI to complete your province. You will have to move a few turns to be able to get there. And this guy, their starting unit is actually way better than you. However, as a Boii, you don't need to wait for very long in order to get your good unit. With just the level 2 barrack here, you already get access to some pretty good Boii X-Men here. It's a pretty good X unit. Very cool Knight Warrior. Very powerful actually. And some early medium swordmen who are really good for a medium sword unit. Yeah, that's very good start for a medium swordman. It's really good. In the late game, as a Boii, you have access to the noble spearman, who is 300 men strong and have defensive formation with very high melee stat. This guy is a force to be reckoned with. I think they can be even stronger than the Roman triarii. because of their size, 300 men, right? And you have access to your swordmaster. What a very wow, cool unit. Yeah, two-handed swordman with very high charge bonus, weapon strength, and melee attack. This guy would wreak havoc, and they would just destroy everything. I really like this unit over here. Really like it. The early game can be quite rough, but the late game you have a very cool army of noble of two-handed swordman and strong 300 man side defensive formation spear unit. Very powerful. Combined with your good archer, the Night Hunter, you will have some very interesting and useful armies to fight against the enemy. So the Boii would be hard as well because of their starting position and starting unit. Kind of bad, yeah. Hard start, but the late game of the Boii will be very interesting. I really like it. Alright, next will be the Scordisci, right? Okay, so here we go. Here we have the Scordisci. And right, the Scordisci again have a very cool unit roster. A very powerful one, I would say. Very powerful one. The starting unit, just like the other Celtic faction, it's not good. They only have access to the light spearman in the early game. And the light spearmen of the Scordisci actually have pretty bad armor compared to the Boii. They have 8 armor compared to 15 armors of the Boii. So a pretty bad unit. And you only have this slinger, something. You will need to upgrade your barrack into at least level 2 here to get access to your better unit, which will be these assault infantry. The Boii actually have access to the assault infantry right at the start of the campaign. So I think we should reduce the Boii difficult rating to normal actually. Having this unit will be a pretty big advantage in the early game, right? But however, the Scordisci, they start in an area with a lot of useful mercenary. You can move here, recruit some mercs here, and move here like this. Recruit some more mercs. Very good one. And you can rush this settlement real quick with your mercenary. Raise another armies here. Get the cavalry. And recruit some random unit. Maybe just cavalry. You don't need anything else. And recruit some more mercenary here. And rush this settlement. And you move into trades right away. I don't think it's a good idea to try to complete your starting province, since you will have to move north, and that very far away. You will not be able to reach the settlement in the second turn, right? When you can reach this settlement in the second turn, that's a big difference. Since the AI, they will be able to recruit more units in the third turn, but in the second turn, the AI here, they will only have the starting unit. When you already have some mercenary here, and you already recruit 3 more cavalry here, that's a big difference. A very big difference. And you can rush this settlement very easily. And you can hide more mercenary. Just hide more mercenary in this area, and keep attacking and take trades. A very wealthy province over here. You just loot settlement on the way to have gold. Don't even need to invest anything in your starting province over here. And then you try to build trades up, get your economy up, and try to expand into Greek, very wealthy land. Try to expand into Asia, very wealthy land over here as well. Also at the Scordisci, you have some very cool unit in the late game. Very cool late game unit, and that is the coolest unit you can have at the Scordisci. The Elite Swordman, the Cardinal Orca. Yeah, they have shield, they have curved sword, and look at this, 33 charge bonus. Wow, that huge. And the weapon strength is the same as a Fangs unit, the same as a Fangsman. Actually, actually it's a little bit less. Yeah, but it's almost as strong as a Fangsman. Holy shit, and very good armor as well. Holy crap, that unit's so powerful. They even have defensive formation, but it will be removed in the next part because it's very likely just a mistake. Defensive formation on this unit is too powerful. They are already very strong even without the formation. And again, you have some really good units. The heroic swordman over here also have monster sharpeners and very good melee capability, and also scare. And you have a set to this naked skirmisher, which is really cool. 200 men strong, good amount of javelin, high damage javelins, and very good melee start for a javelin man, right? They are as strong as the Galatian or the Arverni naked spear warrior, but they are the skirmisher unit, so they will have advantage that they have more speed. They will be just as strong at attacking, and they have more and stronger javelin. But being a ranged unit, they will have less HP and they will have less mass, so they will be more vulnerable to enemy carry charge. However, they do have very good bonus versus carry because they carry a spear. So if you can avoid the carry charge, this javelin man here can murder carry really effectively with that huge bonus versus carry. Yeah, right. So very good unit. You have very good spear war unit. Very good spear war as the Scordisci over here. Shield war spearman. Very good one. Very good one. And you have good carry actually. Not as strong as the Arverni carry, but they are pretty strong. The noble one. Alright, so the Scordisci here will be hard and will be normal, because you can rush a neighbor really early on with a lot of mercenary in this area, right? And your late game units are really powerful. Boii will be normal as well, because they have better starting unit. Alright, and the last Celtic faction over here will be the Nervi. So the Nervi, a very interesting one. We start in a small town over here, and to complete this we need to move all the way here to attack this settlement. It's very far away. Yeah, right. Alright, so the start of the Nervi is quite interesting. We have an ally right next to us here, and the starting unit of the Nervi is quite strong compared to the other Celtic faction. They have the Vanguard X-Man right at the start, and this unit they're stronger than most other units available to other Celtic factions, right? Actually, there's the strongest starting infantry we can have as the other Celtic faction. Okay, They have worse light spearmen actually. The light spearmen of the Nervi have very bad start. Very bad start. Very bad melee defense and armor compared to the other Celtic faction. But we have the good Axemen, so we don't need to use the spearmen at all. We don't need to use them at all. As for mercenary in this area, we have a set to this berserker unit, a very cool and useful one, and also the archer. Good, very good one as well. Okay, as cavalry, we do have very good cavalry at the Nervi, and we can actually upgrade the barrack right away without having to research the technology. We already get this one researched compared to other Celtic factions. That also an advantage of the Nervi. And another cool thing as the Nervi is that you have the Chariot General. Yeah, a Chariot General. You can have one of him out here, and you can replace this one as a Chariot General as well to fight your early battle against your neighbor over here. So normally we will try to move right here and attack this guy. Recruit the X-Men on the way. Recruit the X-Men on the way. Hire the mercenary when they become available, and we rush this guy right away. With the chariots, it will not be too difficult. The chariots is a very powerful early game unit. We can use them to, yeah, they will just murder everyone with a right charge. Be careful when you use chariots though. They can deal damage very quickly, but they are also very squishy. They can die very quickly if you let them stay in melee. So basically, you will need to keep them move constantly to deal damage to the enemy and to stay alive. Yep, but they will be very useful for a couple of the first battle. A few first battle will be very useful. The chariots and the X-Men here as well. As for late game units of the Nervi, we do have some really cool one. As always, the veteran champion. Holy shit! Yeah, they are on the same level as the Arverni champion. Yeah, they are on par with the Arverni champion, and also have scare. Very good unit. And we have the naked skirmisher here as well. Also a very powerful one, 200 men strong, with a very good javelin. Not many ammunition though, only 4 ammunition, but very good melee capability. However, these guys, they do not use a spear in melee compared to the other naked version of the other Celtic. They use a sword, so they will be better at fighting infantry, but they will not be as strong as the other naked skirmisher of the other Celtic when they fight against cavalry. Alright, and the cavalry of the Nervi is also very strong, very powerful cavalry. With just the level 2 horsepan over here, you have access to the Bengal medium cavalry, which use the mighty horse as well, and they are really strong. They are not as strong as the Arverni medium cav, but they are stronger than most cavalry in this area. Not as strong as the Arverni though. The Arverni still have the best cavalry. Yeah, and chariots and the heavy cavalry here, really powerful. Also a special cavalry, special horse over here. So I get normal. Yeah, I think the Arverni campaign will be at normal difficulty because they do have very strong starting units, right? the chariot will be a huge advantage of the Nervi in the first few starting battle, and also their late game armies will be very powerful as well. And as the Nervi, you actually have very good shield walls unit. They have the sword pie. After reform, they have the sword pie unit, which is very powerful. Very powerful. Okay, so next we'll take a look at the Britanic tribe, which will be the Iceni, the Iweriu, and yeah. First we start with the Iceni. Okay, the Iceni, the Britanic tribe over here. This is also one of the easier start you can have. At the Iceni, you start in Britannia, in the big settlement over here. So basically, you can start conquer everyone around you relatively easy, and you have a stronger defense with a walled settlement and a good garrison inside. As for the starting unit, you have access to the pretty good spear slinger, and yeah, just levy unit, but you do have some really cool faction mercenary, which will help you to fight the early battle much easier, especially the sword master here. They are very strong. The sword band here also very useful, and your enemy, your neighbor, they will not have good early unit. They have pretty bad early units as well. So you can just pick your victim right here. Probably the courier here. Right in the second turn, recruit a few units, get the mercenary and attack and take this right away. And you can have a few general bodyguard here as well to support you. Yeah. That Britanic heavy cavalry is really powerful as well. That's a sword cavalry, but they have really good start, right? Good bonus with infantry, so they will fight very well against the enemy in this area. The Britanic faction, they just have a rework, and their late game unit after reform now is very powerful. They get access to some really good units after the reform, and to trigger the reform at the Britanic faction, you will need to take control of the whole island. When you get control of the whole island, and you need to wait for the turn requirement will be 100 turn, right? And you need to get control of the full island, which will not be too difficult at all. Not very difficult at all. You have access to some very powerful reform unit. Very powerful. Can we see them here? Can we see them here? Nope. We can't see the reform unit here yet. But that's some very powerful unit, including the very strong slinger, very strong sword unit, and very strong spear unit. And you have some chariots available here at the Iceni. You can either recruit them in the barrack here, or you can recruit them as mercenary. The bad thing about Iceni is that you have that factional mercenary available everywhere. That's so strong. You can get this very useful swordman, two-handed unit, and these chariots everywhere, as long as you have them available. That's very powerful. Very powerful. Very powerful. Yeah. Very powerful. So the Iceni start here will be easy. Their starting province is pretty rich as well. And when you get full control of the Britanic island, it will be very easy after that. Very easy. Very easy. I think no, just easy. Since you still need to rush your neighbor to have a successful campaign, right? The Egypt and the Baktria campaign being very easy because you don't need to do anything in a few starting turn. You just stay back and build up and you win. So that will be very easy. As for the Epirus and the Iceni over here, you need to rush your neighbor in the start of the campaign to be able to succeed in the campaign. But it will not be difficult because you are much stronger than your neighbor. So you can just rush them very easily. So they will be easy, not very easy. Alright. Next will be the Iweriu. Alright, so over here we have the Iweriu. We start on this island. Okay. And as the Iweriu, we have access to some very strong units right at the start of the campaign. And one of them is that Irish painted warrior. Look at that melee attack. And they are Levitire. Holy crap. That unit's so powerful. So powerful. They have scare as well. This one serious powerful attacker you can have at the Iweriu. Okay, this Irish also infantry is not too sappy as well. They also Levitire, 300 men strong, very cheap, and they have pretty good armor for a Levitire unit. 15 armor is pretty good. And also 2 bonus with infantry and very good charm bonus and weapon strength will be very useful for that unit as well. Okay, that's some very useful unit you can get at the Iweriu. However, here they start isolated here, and it will be quite difficult to actually move to attack your neighbor. You will need to travel on sea like this, and when you are at sea, you will not be able to recruit anything. So rushing a neighbor will be quite difficult as the Iweriu. Right. So basically, you just try to stay back and recruit some assault infantry here, some painted warrior. They are not expensive either. And then you try to sail over here and take out this small settlement here. Yeah, it can be quite difficult because all of your early units are they are not very tanky. You don't have any units that can effectively hold the line against the enemy. So the early battle as the Iweriu can be pretty difficult. Alright, can be pretty difficult. And you actually need to get a full armies before you move, since attack this settlement with just 4 units is you will not be able to make it, right? And when you get over here, you will pretty much very likely to have to fight against the Iceni as well, and that can be quite difficult. You start at war with the Caledon, yeah, but I don't think going for the Caledon is a good idea. If you want to move here, yeah, it's even further than this settlement. So taking this settlement is probably the best move you can make at the Iweriu. Okay, starting unit, very good. Late game unit, also very good. As the other Celtic faction over here, you get access to some very cool reform unit. Very cool reform unit. Yeah, this noble raider, this hidden warrior is very useful as well. You have pretty strong shield war unit, but they are first class population. Yeah, heavy spear, good one. And chariot, and pretty strong cavalry, the heavy cavalry. Alright, so the Iweriu start here will be hard. Yeah, you need to successfully capture a settlement to be successful in this campaign, and it can be quite difficult to do so, especially if you are not very familiar with the barbarian fighting style. Or you can try to stay back and build some units, build a barrack to get your shield wars infantry, so you have a line. So you have some units that can actually hold the line against the enemy. That's also an option. The heavy spear, for example. Yeah, still a hard campaign, because you will not have the economy to do that. You are very, very, very poor with just one settlement. Okay, so this could be a hard start, a hard campaign with the Iweriu. Being isolated also mean also increase the difficulty of the campaign. The next one will be the Caledon. Alright, so here we go, the Caledon. Yeah, and this is one of the most difficult start you can have in Divide and Impera. You start far north here with one settlement, one small settlement. You are very poor with just this one settlement. And the next settlement you have to fight against is a city. It's a world settlement. And you start with very bad unit. Actually, wait, what? You actually have better starting unit now as the Caledon. Right? Yeah, previously you have very bad starting unit. I think you only have some farmer. Yeah, they're basically farmer. Very freaking bad start. This guy will just melt against anything. They would not be able to do anything at all. You should just disband this guy right away, because they will not do anything at all. It's just a waste of gold to use this guy. The best they can do is take some ammunition for your better unit. They are very cheap though, but not really worth it. They don't have very good missile block chance either, so very bad unit. Now you have access to some retainer swordman. This guy, Levitire, and they actually use the second class population, right? That's very bad. That's very bad. You don't have a loss of population to begin with, and this guy, they are 300 men strong. So they just use a lot of your population. They are not very strong either, with very low armor for a second class unit. This is just Levitire armor, and they have pretty good melee attack but very low melee defense, which means they will not be able to hold the lines against anyone. Retainer Spearman. Okay, this unit here also used the second class population, but they will be much more useful than compared to the Swordman. 300 men strong, not too expensive, decent armor and defensive formation. So we will need to rely on that spear unit, and the slinger of the Caledon is really bad. Much worse than the other faction slinger around here. They have one archer's unit, not good either. And pretty bad mercenary here. So very bad starting unit. You can upgrade your barrack here to get better unit, and the best one you can have over here will be the heavy swordman. That's the best one you can have, but they use the first card population, right? Your light spearmen are very weak as well, very weak. You would need to upgrade your barrack to level 3 to actually have some cool unit. And when you get your barrack to level 3, you actually have some very good, very nice tool to fight against the enemy in this area. One is that Britanic Swordmaster, the two-handed unit, just like the other. The Iceni, they are being the easiest faction just because they have access to that Swordmaster very early on, because the Swordmaster is actually a factional mercenary for the Iceni, so they can recruit them as mercenary, and you only need to have a few of them in your army because they are shock troops. They are the flanking unit. Just one of them move and flank the enemy will have great effect, especially against the low armor, low morale infantry of the Britanic tribe in this area. This swordman with scare ability and very high offensive capability, which just destroy everything, and they make enemy run very quickly, very easily. That's the strength of them. Very strong unit you can have. And also over here you have the not this one, the Caledon chosen spearman with shield walls and very good melee start as well. This is one of the best unit you can have in this area. So two of the best unit, but it will take a while until you can recruit these units here, and you will not have the economy to actually do anything. You start at war with the Iweriu, and as the AI, they will send armies here to fight you. You have to defend against them and attack this settlement. If you want to rush this settlement, it will be very difficult, much more difficult compared to the Iceni or compared to the Iweriu, where they can choose to attack a small settlement. Over here you have no choice but to attack a world settlement. That will be much more difficult than the Iweriu or the Iceni over here, right? Very difficult. You can only get one extra zero over here, and they would not be very useful as well. You can try to make a cavalry, or you can try to make a spear wards, a shield wards unit here. Just one unit will not make a very big of a difference. So this will be the Caledon campaign here will be one of the very hard campaign you will have in Divided Impera. Very difficult, but also very interesting. Once you can survive the early game, and one of the big problem with the Iweriu is because of the harsh winter as well. Yeah, basically you have no goal, no food, harsh winter, disease, very bad early unit, very bad economy, very tough, very difficult neighbor to deal with. We have a very hard time to attack them because they have a city, that a walled city, and with your very bad early unit, you will not be able to take it very easily. Okay, so very hard campaign we have here. Right, that's the Britanic tribe. Now let's move on to the Iberian tribes, right? There's still so many so many factions left. So let's try to cover them all, shall we? The first Iberian faction we'll talk about here will be the Edetani. Oh, right, here we go, the Edetani. The Iberian faction, they have quite a unique playstyle compared to the other faction in the game. They have a lot of javelins. Almost everyone in the Iberian army carry a javelin, and they have pretty good javelin as well. But they do not have tough unit to hold the line against the enemy. So you will have to rely on shock tactic as the Iberian. The Edetani over here is one of the factions that have better line holder units compared to other Iberian faction actually. Okay, so at the start of the game you have access to that Scutari spearman. Levi tires, but they do have pretty good armor, 20 armors, and very good melee defense for a spear unit, right? They use the second class population though, so not exactly cheap, but you can use this guy to hold the line. Not too strong, but they will be quite decent at doing that. Okay, and over here you start next to Carthage, and you probably want to take the Carthage settlement over here as soon as possible, as quick as possible. You start in Arch. Very funny, right? And when you upgrade your barrack here, you have access to some very cool unit. Very cool unit. Including some very cool cavalry as well. Noble cavalry here. You have the Iberian armored cavalry. Pretty good. A pretty good cavalry unit. Not as strong as the Gallic cavalry, but they will be quite decent. Medium cavalry here. Very useful as well. Right? Skirmish cavalry. The Iberian javelin cavalry is actually really good. Really good. They have good javelin, good amount of ammunition, and pretty good in melee. Like this one, that's a pretty good melee start for a skirmisher cavalry. So just use this javelin cavalry. Even though they're very light, they will be very useful in battle. And very good heavy swordman. Very good noble swordman over here. Very good spear unit, noble spear unit. But quite expensive as well. Alright. So basically you have to go to war against Carthage. And try to compete in this area. This will not be an easy campaign though, since as an Iberian faction, fighting battle in the very early game can be quite tricky. You don't have the light holder units, right? You do have the Balearic Slinger here, which will be very useful. They are the strongest slinger in the game, but quite expensive though. And the mercenary Scutari over here will be very useful as well. They have very good melee start. Very strong. So I think fighting against Carthage over here will not be too difficult, since Carthage will be busy fighting against Rome. They will not have a lot of armies around this area. You can use that chance to take their territories around here. Alright, so the Edetani. I think it's a hard campaign. Yeah. Fighting against a very big faction, a very powerful faction as Carthage in the early game. It's not really easy. And your playstyle, your unit, it's kind of, it takes quite a few micromanagement skill to master the Iberian. So I think over here they actually share the same situation. The Iberian, this guy would be hard as well. Okay, so here we go. We have the Arevaci. They are they start next to the Edetani over here. Okay, but actually I think this start will be easier compared to the Edetani. The Edetani, they are trapped between two walled settlements. Over here you have to attack the a city, and over here if you try to go for the Carthage, you have to attack another city as well. At the Arevaci, you can try to expand here. Take this smaller settlement, you can reach it in turn 2. That's pretty good. Or you can take this settlement from the Canterbury over here. Yeah, whatever you can do whatever you like here. And this will be much easier to take a small town compared to taking a walled settlement, right? And as the Arevacis, you have access to some pretty cool starting unit. I really like the painted warrior. Wow, I really like them. Holy shit, very good melee attack and scare. Guerrilla deployment. Really like the units over here. We have good light infantry. Yeah, we have good Arverni spear skirmishers. This guy, very interesting unit. They have very low melee stat, but this unit, they are armed with 3 javelin, 3 ammunition, which means they are basically javelin man, but 300 unit size, which means they can throw 300 javelins at once into the face of the enemy with 3 ammunition and very cheap, and a very cheap unit like this. They will be able to deal a lot of damage to the enemy in a very short amount of time with that unit, with that very cheap unit over here. Very interesting actually. Yeah, so basically your playstyle with the Iberian faction is run in there, throw your javelins, run away, run back, throw your javelins. Yeah, will be a lot of javelin throwing and taking shot from the enemy unit as well. It will not have a line at all as the Iberian faction. However, you do have some skilled spearmen here with pretty good melee defense stat, low armor though, but overall still a pretty good unit to have. Yeah, medium spearman, not very useful. Slightly better armors, but this guy, they are offensive spear, which means they are better at attacking, not defending. So very offensive army as Arevaci. Javelin, throw your javelin with the spear skirmisher here, and then charge with your offensive spear unit and charge with your painted warrior and break the enemy Maurya very quickly. That's their playstyle. Over here you have the ambusher as well, with stock as knife, but that's not very useful for a javelin unit, right? I don't know. And you have some slinger here. You have access to mercenary ballet slinger as well, and the scuttery swordman. And actually, you have access to some very cool unit in the late game. One of them is this Arevaci champion. This one, right? Nope. Where is this? Sword man. Nope. I remember that we do have a very cool unit as the Arevaci here. Where are they? Where are they? This one? Nope. Where are they? We have a very strong short spear infantry at the Arevaci. Very powerful short spear unit. But where are they? Not this one, noble spear. I guess we will have to build a geolo building to be able to recruit them. Or wait. All right, they are only available as a geolo bodyguard option right now. Yeah, yeah. Before we can recruit this guy, but now they are only available at geolo bodyguard. Okay. That makes more sense because this guy, they are very powerful, very powerful. Even without this spear unit, we already have some very cool very offensive infantry in their roster. So overall, very unique playstyle with a lot of shock infantry unit. This start will be easier compared to the Edetani, but I don't think it will be very easy actually. Mainly because of their unique playstyle with a lot of javelin throwing and shock infantry charged into the enemy. Fighting with the Iberian faction will be more difficult compared to using the Greek faction, for example, where you can just use hope lines to hold the line and then move to flank the enemy. It's basically basic hammer and anvil tactic. As the Iberian faction, you will not be able to do that since you do not have very good line holder at all. You will need to use more shock tactic like some pincer move, actually some harassing with your javelins, with your slinger, with your javelin cavalry, light, fast, shock troop. So this start will be hard, not too difficult, but definitely not easy, hard. The last one and also the most interesting in Iberian faction will be the Lusitani. Okay, so here we go. As a Lusitani, we start here. And our next ticket will be this small settlement here holding by the Scythia. We can take it quite easily. And voila, we have a province. So this is also the easiest start among the Iberian faction, the Lusitani one. And actually, as a Lusitani, we have the best units roster. They are the best. They have the best units roster among all the Iberian faction. They have the best missile cavalry. They have the best javelin cavalry. The light missile cavalry here of the Lusitani, they have a lot of ammunition. 10 ammunition. That's the most ammunition you have on a javelin cavalry in the game. You even have more ammunition compared to the Numidian cavalry over here. That's the most ammunition you can have on a javelin cavalry. And with their speed, with that amount of ammunition, very good javelin as well. You will be able to skirmish and deal a lot of damage with this just light cavalry. They're not very expensive either, and they are available right at the start of the campaign. This one is a very useful unit you can have. Actually, don't use this shock cavalry at all. They are not worth it just freaking disband it and just recruit a lot of this dude. They will be much better than your melee carry. General bodyguard as well. Replace them to your missile carry as soon as possible. Simply because this unit, they are the second best missile carry unit you can have in the entire game. They are just below the Numidian carry. 10 ammunition, very good melee stat, very good armor. Quite slow with 6 speed, but their amount of ammunition and their melee capability here is more than enough to make up for that. And this light missile carries, absolutely, yeah, they are very strong, very powerful light missile carry. I think they are even stronger than the Numidian light cavalry. Yeah, I think they are stronger, actually stronger than the Numidian light cavalry. The Numidian elite javelin cavalry, noble javelin cavalry, is still the best javelin cavalry available in the game. But the Lusitani missile cavalry here, javelin cavalry here, is not too shabby either. They are very powerful. And at the Lusitani, you have access to some very cool infantry, like this one. You have access to this X-Men right at the start of the campaign. Very solid unit, a very solid unit compared to the other Iberian faction around you. You also have access to some shock unit, shock spear, offensive spear, levy tire. But the cavalry is the main thing, that the main difference that make you become much stronger than the other Iberian around you. The cavalry. Okay, when you upgrade your barrack here, you will have access to some really cool unit. That's the reform unit, very good one. Skilled swordman with very high melee stat and good armor. A very strong unit over there. Some medium spearmen, which have pretty good armor compared to other Iberian actually. Yeah, that is already good armor compared to the other Iberian. 25 armor. And then another spear unit with less armor but better melee defense. Alright. And you have access to these Iberian champions. The noble shock spear? I think they are swordman actually. Spear? No, they are swordman. They are the noble shock troop who have very good melee attack and good armor. And the cool thing about this unit is that they are very fast for a heavy armor unit. 35 armor and 3 speed is pretty good. Very good. With 18 melee attack, they will be able to deal a lot of damage to the enemy infantry. Right? And we have the spear skirmisher over here with good melee attack, good melee start, and very good javelins as well. For ammunition, very good one. Heavy infantry, very good one. And with the over here we can recruit this heavy missile cavalry. But actually everything you need here is that one. This light cavalry will be enough for almost everything. You don't even need to use this guy. Just the light cav should be enough. And at the Lusitani, we had access to the bear warrior. That's the guys. Two-handed unit with scare ability. They are just on the same level as the sword master of the Britanic faction. They are very strong. And I really like this dude. They look great in battle as well. Yeah. So basically, very good cavalry. missile cavalry, and very good infantry as the Lusitani. So I think we rate the Lusitani as normal. They're not too easy. They're still Iberian faction. They still have to rely on the shock tactic, but they have a very good tool to do that, which is their light cavalry. They will be able to skirmish much more effectively compared to the other Iberian faction with their light cavalry, their strong cavalry, and after that they can use their cool, strong shock infantry, charge in and finish the job. Especially the bear warrior will be very useful. So normal difficulty on the Lusitani. Okay, so now next we'll talk about the Nomad. Right, very interesting. The Nomad. I think the Nomad is actually very powerful. They are really powerful. I think most of them will be rated easy. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, now let's start with the Saka Rauka. Holy shit, this is one of the very powerful factions you have in the game. They are so powerful. So freaking powerful. So basically the Nomad, what makes them unique is that they have a lot of horse archer cavalry. And with their trait over here, which reduce upkeep to all cavalry unit, you can recruit some very good cavalry and they will be very cheap as well. Basically, as a Nomad faction like this, just spam a lot of the horse archer and wreak havoc with them. The horse archers is just very powerful. They don't even use any infantry with the Nomad faction. Even if you have some pretty cool one, like the archer for example, they are pretty good actually. And even these Axemen are quite useful. But at a Nomad faction, you don't need to use any infantry at all. They just slow you down. Just recruit a lot of cavalry and go around wreak havoc. Move here, put a siege on the city, and the enemy will sally out and you fight the field battle and you win the field battle, and that's it. You take the city, you keep moving this way, that way with your horse archer army and take settlement after settlement. This will be very easy. When you master the when you master how to use the horse archer, you will find that fighting battle with the horse archers is very easy, because they are just too strong. Like over here you have this armor's noble as well, which is the horse archers, but they are also a shock cavalry. So after you have used all their ammunition, you can toss them into melee and they will do a very good job at killing enemy as well. So very powerful. They're just too powerful. Too powerful. Yeah. You also have that very cool looking Saka cataphragm with the horse with horn. They look awesome in the battle. Yeah, they look really good in battle as well. That's it one. Very heavy armor, very good melee start, very good weapon strength, very good bow, good missiles damage over here. They can fire while moving, they can charge and wreak havoc with their melee start over here. That's so powerful. So basically just make an army of horse archer, light horse archers combined with a few. You just need a few of these armor's noble. That's good enough. And you just win everyone in the area. You don't need this unit. Just recruit the lots of these light horse archers. They're very cheap as well. Look at this. These horse archers only cost like 73 in upkeep. So you can basically make a lot of this guy. And they just use the third class population. 2 armies of full horse archer. And you will be able to win most of the battle very easily without taking any casualty at all. That's how strong the Nomads faction are. So actually, I think over here, we will just give all of these Nomad faction the easy rating. All of them will be easy. All of them will be easy. Because, yeah, Horse Archer is just too overpowered. The best unit in the game, Horse Archer. And they start quite isolated in the desert area of the map. So basically, they are very safe there. The enemy will have a lot of trouble moving there to actually fight you. Basically, you just pick your target and move your doom stack of elite horse archer, and you kill everyone. So all of them will be easy. Yeah, right. You do need to micro your horse archer to make the best out of them in battle though. So I will not put them in here in very easy bracket. But they do are the easier faction to play with. Easy on all this Nomad faction. Alright, now next we have the Hellenic faction here. Will be the Sparta, Athens, Pergamon and Rhodos. Alright, let's take a look. First with the Sparta. Okay, so here we go. Sparta, a very cool faction in the game. Their Sparta hoplites look great. One of the best looking unit in the game. And they are actually the strongest hoplite in the game, but you need to get them to the thorax reform. The Sparta thorax hoplite is one of the, no, not one of, they are the strongest hoplite unit in the game. But you need the thorax version. That's right. And the Sparta, they start here in Sparta, right? Sparta, they do suffer from very bad unit in the early game. Basically, they just have hoplite. They have the Sparta hoplites which use the first class population, and they actually not as strong as the other elite hoplite in this area compared to the mercenary veteran hoplites over here. The Sparta hoplite is actually a little bit weaker. Yeah, less melee defense, less armor, and a worse weapon. This guy have a better weapon. Basically, they are a weaker version of the first class population hoplite, but they will grow stronger over time. A turret reform and a thorax reform. They will get stronger and stronger, and eventually they will become the best hoplite unit in the game. And they look really cool as well. These guys, they look so cool in battle. And the Royal Sparta bodyguard here, one of the best bodyguard options in the game, with 300 men and very high stat and hoplite and wow, good armor. Yeah, a really cool unit, good looking as well. But basically just hoplite. You have the periodical hoplite here, and you have the third class population hoplites, the Hellas hoplites, the slave hoplite. Just hoplite and nothing else. Your melee infantry is very bad with this skeletal swordman, pretty weak one, and yeah, very weak unit, very weak missile unit. Just slave unit, just helot unit is very weak, very weak, and you don't have any carry at all. The Sparta carry is one of the worst carry unit in the game. They don't even have shield. Holy shit. And when you have to rely on the Sparta hoplite to fight battle, it will population will be a big problem, since this hoplite will use the first class population. Population will also be a problem, which means it will pretty much have to rely on a lot of mercenary as of Sparta in the early game. However, the problem will go away after you reach Turiat reform. When you are Turiat reform, you have much better unit to use at the Sparta. You have the Turiat spearman over here, which use only the second class population. You have third class pikeman, very useful, very useful. And you have some swordman as well if you want to use them. Not very useful. The spearman should be enough. You don't need to use the swordman, but whatever. And you get access to this Ionia Lancer, a very strong carry unit, very good one as Sparta. And they use just the first class population, which means you can recruit them with ease. You don't need to care about population anymore. And the Thorax reform, you have access to the best hoplite unit in the game, the Sparta Thorax hoplite. And yeah, a Thorax reform, it will be very powerful. And their starting position in rig like this, the best move is actually taking Athens from the Athens, because yeah, even if they are currently your ally, they are very friendly, they are your trading partner, but it's best to just take this city right away, so you can trade with other faction, and then you can move around and take this settlement around you. Actually, fight at Sparta, you will have quite some trouble fighting against the Macedon. As in history, the Macedon military totally outclassed the Sparta military in this period, simply because hoplite is straight inferior to pikeman. Dealing with the Macedon pikeman and cavalry will be very difficult at Sparta. It's not impossible, but it will be very difficult, very difficult. So the Sparta will get a hard rating. Population will be hard. The starting unit is weak, and yeah, fighting against the Macedon will be quite a problem. So hard. Alright, so right next to the Sparta we have the Athens, and quite the contrary to the Sparta, which is pretty difficult and which have serious population problem. The Athens is a really easy campaign. Yeah, the Athens is very easy. They start in Athens, which is a very good city with a special port. So basically you can raise a very powerful navy very early on in the campaign. And at the Athens over here, you have access to a wide range of unit, very useful unit. You have this mercenary kind of unit which you can recruit with your barrack after Turiat reform, and they all use the second class population. That will be very useful. They are all levy tired as well. You have the mercenary thorax sword, who also use the third class population. You have third class archer, which is really powerful. This guy, very good archer, and the third class population. So you can spam a lot of them without worrying about population at all. You have pikemen. They are not as strong as the Macedonia pikemen, but they also use the third class population, which is really useful, right? And you have access to the Athenia Tarentine cavalry, one of the best javelin cavalry unit in the game. They are available at Thorax Reform though, so we can't see them right now. But they will be a very good unit you can use to fight against your enemy. Alright, very good Tourist Spearman, very good Tourist Swordman. Hoplites, different version of hoplites, cheap one, levy one, and good one. The Logadet is a very strong hoplite unit as well. Alright, and you can also have a elite tourist spear version, which available in a tourist reform, and they are actually really powerful with 35 armor and very good melee defense. Right, very powerful unit. A strong city, strong economy, and a very good unit. And the easy part of the Athens campaign over here is that they start with no enemy at all. You don't have any enemy as the Athens at all at the start of the campaign. You are friendly with the Sparta and they will not attack you. You are friendly with the Macedon. You are a client state of them actually. So you will need to fight them to. Can we cancel it? We can cancel it. Yeah. And we can just do that right away. No problem. I fear this ending will and the Macedon will still be somewhat friendly. And we don't even care about that. We're still friendly with most factions around us here. So we can just stay back and build up, or we can try to pick whatever neighbor we want to destroy and we attack them. Like we can just attack the Sparta here right away with some units here. We can recruit 4 units per turn. That's pretty good. With some mercenary here, we have very good mercenary in this area as well. Rhodian Slinger, Cretan Archer, Tarentine Cavalry, Elite Hoplite. Yeah, and we can just attack the Sparta right away. Will be very easy. And Hellas is a very wealthy province as well. So the Athens will be easy. Actually very easy. Yeah, because you don't need to do anything in the early game to be successful. You can just stay back, build up, recruit unit, and do whatever you want later. Because you start with no enemy at all. And you can get a lot of trade around with Athens. You can build a very powerful navy very early on at Athens as well. You don't need to care about population at all. So this will be another very easy campaign. Very easy campaign. Okay, over here we have another Hellenic faction, the Rhodos. And this is also one of the easier faction you have. Right. So take a look at this. You have Slinger speed that increase reloads of Rhodian Slinger. and that's a very powerful trait actually. As Rhodos, you will be able to spam a lot of this Rhodian slinger, and they are very powerful. With the trait, you have very high firing rate with the Rhodian slinger, and they do a lot of damage. They have very good range, they have very high ammunition, but they are just a very powerful unit that you can recruit right at the start of the campaign, and you can just spam a lot of them. Yeah. So as the Rhodos over here, you will have very powerful and overpowered army of Rhodian slinger, and you can have these Rhodian light hoplites here as well, and they are really cool as well. Yeah. Look at this. They are classed as missile unit, and this is the important thing. They are classed as missile unit, not spear unit, not spear unit like this one, but missile unit. This is very important because all of the skill you take on your general, or the army tradition you take, that pop missile unit will apply to this one, will apply to this Rhodian light hoplite. With increase their missile attack, missile damage. They do have very good sling over here, and they have pretty good ammunition for a melee infantry unit, and you can further increase their missile strength by taking skill for your general and taking the army tradition, which is pretty big. They are a very decent spear unit with good melee defense, and yeah, what's really cool about them is that they have a sling, and they are classed at missile unit. So over here you can see when we recruit them, they already start at 18 melee defense. That's very good. They will be able to fight against enemy cavalry quite easily. They have a lot of bonus for cavalry. 4 speed. Oh, okay, a very cool unit to have. Basic hoplites, but when we have enough of this Rhodian slinger and this light hoplite, we have a very powerful armies already, very early on. Yeah, and that missile unit will just destroy everything for you. They will just destroy everything. And as Rhodos, we also start with a wonder and an unique port here. So powerful navy, very powerful navy, very powerful unit, very early on. This will be an easy campaign as well, very easy actually. And the Pergamon here will be easy as well, mainly because they start in Asia. Asia is one of the best province in the game with 2 wonder. When you take control of Asia, you will have a very good economy, and yeah, you will start steamroll everything. So the same as Athens, as Rhodos, you have no enemy. Basically, Nomads will very likely to declare war on you, because I don't know why, but they are very likely to declare war on you, even though we have very good relationship with them, friendly. They will declare war, but they will not be able to do anything. We can simply recruit a fleet here, raise a fleet, and any army that the Gnosos send to us, we can sync up with our navy, we can get some very cool ship and powerful ship over here already. So it will not be a problem at all. We have better movement speed with our ship. We have better campaign map movement range with our fleet. That's so powerful. So this will be another very easy campaign we have. And the Pergamon will be easy. They will not be as easy as Rhodos campaign, because they don't have access to that overpowered Rhodian slinger. They can still recruit the Rhodian slinger as mercenary unit and as area recruitment after they take Rhodos, but it will be much more difficult to get compared to the Rhodos, when you can just spam a lot of this Rhodian slinger right in the first turn, right in turn 1, right? And we can take this settlement very easily, very easily, with a lot of Rhodian slinger and some ship here as well. Some more Rhodian slinger as well on ship. This could be very easy. More Rhodian slinger here. Why not? Because we can, right? And take this easily. And then we take all of this settlement, complete Asia, complete control of Asia, and have a powerful economy to get more Rhodian slinger and conquer the world with them. So very easy campaign over here. Very easy and easy, because no enemy. You basically don't need to do anything. Just stay back and build up, recruit your Rhodian slinger, make a full stack, make a full navy, and just attack whatever you like, whoever you want. Take their settlement. Will be very easy. Alright, the next one we will talk about will be the Arabian faction here. The Arabian faction. Okay, so the first Arabian faction we are taking a look here will be the Saba. We start in the middle of the desert. Okay, there are nothing with but desert. Okay. Okay, but actually the Arabian faction have some pretty cool units. Yeah, over here we have the chariot. This chariot, the Saba chariots, and they actually have some very good bow. So they will be able to deal pretty good range damage. Yeah, and basically, what do we have? We have good archer, very good archer, and let's see. We have Maritime over here, which is a wonder, a unique building which increase wealth from agriculture in all regions, which is really cool as well. Yeah, we will be able to build some serious powerful agricultural economy with the Saba, with the Maritime over here. But starting in the middle of the desert, it's kinda let down, because it's a slow start. You will need to travel a very far distance to get to your neighbor, and I kinda don't like it. You have some Sabine noble, which is pretty strong. Spear unit with bow. Spear unit with bow. Light infantry. You have chariot. You have what else? I think we have some pretty cool infantry unit in here. Yeah, Sabine champions, pretty cool sword unit, and I think we have some pretty cool camel units as well. Bodyguard infantry, good spear. Turret infantry, yeah, pretty good unit. Very solid, very solid. But starting in the middle of the desert like that, being a bit you need to travel a very far distance to reach your neighbor, and fighting against your neighbor here will not be too difficult. And most of them are friendly towards you, so basically you can pick whatever you like, whoever you like to attack here, and attack them. It will not be too difficult. With chariot, with camel warrior, like you have some pretty good camel warrior here at the Saba, right? Your cavalry is pretty strong as well. They are very fast. Yeah, they are very fast. And I think you also have access to horse archer. Very fast cavalry. So, I think they will have kind of a normal rating campaign over here. Nothing too special about the Saba. Nothing special, and not too strong, not too weak. So normal, just normal. Okay, so here we go. Compared to the Saba, the Nabata is a much more interesting faction, Arabian faction here. We start with the food province. With the food province instead of one settlement. That's very good. We can build it up and have a pretty good economy right at the start of the campaign. And I really like the unit roster of the Nabata, actually. I really like it. We have some very cool X unit. And I like Xset. Yeah, I like Xset. These guys, they are really cool. Good armor, very good armor for an X unit. And another X over here. And let's see, 2 swordman. Not very special. Yep, we have very good spearman here as well. Spearman, X-man. And the best thing about the Nabata is that we have very good camel. Very good camel. Where are they? Here. That's one. Heavy camel rider. And they are really strong. Yeah, really strong. Basically, they are horse archer, but with much better missile damage. They have really high missile damage over here. Very good range. And they are quite fast for a heavy armored unit like this. 41 armor is really good. They can scare horses. They have very good melee stat. And they can kill cavalry very effectively. We can see the bonus versus cavalry stat over here on this unit because of the UI limitation, but they do have very good bonus versus cavalry, just like the other camel units over here. All of them have very good bonus versus cavalry. Very good bonus versus cavalry. So basically this camel will be used to counter enemy cavalry very effectively. Very effectively. Especially this one. With very good bow. Yeah. They are really powerful. Very powerful. We have some cool cavalry as well, but But the bad thing we have here is this camel warrior. A very interesting unit we can use at the Nabata. And we are friendly with Egypt. So our obvious enemy over here will be the Seleucid. And actually we can take out the Seleucid quite easily. The Seleucid is really weak. The AI Seleucid is very weak. because they have too many wars around this area, right? And their territory, it's a very large territory, and the AI, they are not very good with large empire at all, which means we can just take their territories quite easily and have a very strong economy after we take territories of the Seleucid. So that's a very powerful faction with good start. One province at the start here is very good and good unit. Very solid infantry combined with powerful camel. Very powerful camel warrior. Camel archer. So good. So the number test would be easy. I think we can even rate them as very easy, because basically you don't need to do anything at the start, right? You can either go for the Seleucid or the Egypt. Both of them are easy targets for you, and both of them are very rich. Take their land and you have a massive economy. Yeah, so very easy actually. Okay, now let's go on and rate the Thracian tribes over here. We have the Oresian kingdom, the Aureates, and the Giate, and they are pretty unique actually. Now let's go. Okay, so first we talk about the Oresian kingdom. One of the very interesting faction in the game. They have the best, the strongest two-handed unit in the game. The Bonfire warrior, the Fangsman. They are really powerful. Massive melee attack, massive sharpness, massive weapon strength, and very good armor as well. Free speed. However, they are only limited to bodyguard unit. Yeah, that kind of sucks. But whatever. At the Oresian kingdom, their playstyle is all about offensive infantry. You have Fangsman, you have offensive spear, the long spear warrior. You have the deer swordmaster over here, who also good shock troops. So basically you have lots of shock troops, and you will fight by charging into the enemy and use your strong and fast infantry to break their line like that. Cavalry, nothing too special about cavalry. You just have some pretty basic cavalry. But after reform, you have really good cavalry who use fast as well. Yeah, after reform, you and as the Oresian kingdom, you have very good Pautas as well. Very good one. With good armor, very good missile strength, good range, good ammunition. Yeah. So shock troop. And you can actually recruit some hoplites and pikemen over here in the what is that? You do have access to some pikes and hoplite unit, but they are weaker than their weak counterpart. So I don't think we need to use them at all. Just use your Fangsman, use your long spear warrior, long spear power task over here. Very solid unit, solid spear unit, offensive spear unit. Very nice. And charge into the enemy, wreaking havoc with your unit. So the start can be quite difficult because you do not have access to very strong unit early on. The long spear peltas in the early game here is they are usable but not too strong. What you want to have is the turret version of this spearman. The turret version of this guy are really strong. Very good. Very strong one. The early version is pretty bad actually. And you need to upgrade your barrack to level 2 to get access to the Fanksman. The early version of the Fanksman is already pretty bad. I mean, not bad. They're strong, but not strong enough to make a very big difference. The late version of this Fanksman are very powerful actually. Very powerful though. Yeah, you have a bunch of light cavalry, light fast cavalry over here. Not too special, just some regular fast bad cavalry, and yeah, just shock troop. Basic slinger, basic archer, not something special. Okay, so this start basically you try to take out your neighbor here and take full control of Drake as soon as possible. It will not be easy because bad early unit, but once you get the turret reform, your military will be much better, much stronger by that. Oh, Orisian Kingdom will be hard because bad early unit, right? Hard start, but they will get more powerful as they grow. Okay, now the next one will be the RDA. Very unique faction actually, and yeah, they are very unique one. Basically, they are a pirate faction with some very cool unit, and actually they do have the strongest second class hoplite unit in the game. Very funny, right? They do have the best second class unit, second class hoplite unit in the game. This one probably the chosen hoplites, right? This one or which one? I think it's this one, the Illyrian chosen hoplite, the late version. They will be the strongest second class hoplite unit in the game. And at the RDA, sorry, you have some very cool units here as well. Some pirate, yeah, very good one. But what I like about this infantry, the RDA infantry, is that they have very high melee defense. They are short unit, but very high melee defense, and they actually have 2 bonus first infantry, which means they can fight against the enemy infantry very effectively, and they will be very tanky in melee. Very tanky in melee, with very high melee defense and decent armor, right? They have access to some Sika bearer. They have the curved sword and very strong, powerful unit. As you can see here, this one for example, this one is a very powerful unit with good weapon strength, good armor penetration damage, good bonus with infantry, and good charge bonus. Right, a very solid unit you can have. And later you will have even better version of them after reform. The elite Sika bearer, very powerful unit. Cavalry, nothing too special about the RDA cavalry, but I really like their infantry. Basically very strong hoplite and very good sword unit. Very good. And you can have some very good ships here as well as the area. They're pirate, right? So they're barbarian, but they can recruit ramming ship. That's really good for a barbarian. Yeah, Very good for barbarian. Their start, it can be quite tricky. Yeah. So basically you start really close to Rome. And your expansion road here. I think the best way to do a RDA campaign is we try to sneak an attack on Epirus here in Apollonia. Since Epirus, they will very likely to send their armies towards the Roman here, to Taras, and we can wait here, wait for the Epirus to move their armies away. We build some small ship here as well, and then we attack and take Apollonia from them. That way, we can be friends with the Roman, and we try to expand into Greek, take Macedonia, and take Hellas, build a strong economy over there, and start steamroll. We do have strong hoplites. We can recruit this very useful sword unit right into the start of the campaign. We have some tourist spearmen as well, right? And I think we do have some very good power touch unit. This one, yeah, pretty good one. 200 men. Good melee. Not very good melee start, but they do have more men than regular power touch unit. More men means more damage they can deal to the enemy, right? Okay, good hoplites. We can upgrade this already and recruit the hoplite unit. Very nice, very nice. Yeah. Light infantry, very good one as well, with good melee defense. Yeah. So the RDAs will be normal, not too strong, not too weak, and we can go for Epirus for a pretty solid start, I think. Not too difficult. After we take Apollonia, everything will be much easier. Okay, and so over here we have the Galatia. And I think they have the best unit roster in all three Thracia faction over here. Yes, they have a very strong unit roster here. Not the starting one. The starting one is decent, but what really stand out is available here in the in this barrack. They have the chosen spearman, and that's actually a long pike unit. They do not have a lot of armor, but because they are a short pike unit, they have very good attack, and they, with the shield wall activate, they will be very strong in melee. That is a very powerful unit we can have at the Galatia. We have the Dacian Fangsman, recruitable right away, and that's a very cheap and effective unit we can use. Yeah, very cheap and effective. We have some bowman. We have some cheap spear unit with the Levi spear have very good melee defense. That's a good thing about the Carthage. And also as a Carthage, you have access to some very cool cavalry unit, like this Dacian Cataphract. Holy shit, very good one. Good bow and good charge. A very cool cavalry unit you can have. And you have access to some very good horse archers here as well. Very strong cavalry unit, horse archer. And you even have very decent javelin cavalry here. Not too strong, but good enough. Actually, when you already have the horse archer, I don't think you will ever use that javelin cav at all. Just use the horse archers, they're much better. And the cataphract here, They're much better. Much better. And after reform, you will have access to these chosen fast man with very good melee stat and very high weapon strength. That's the best unit of the Carthage roster. You have access to some very good armored archer as well. So very good shield infantry, very good shield infantry, very good melee infantry. You have access to cheap and effective fastman, and you have horse archers, and we have cataphrag. Yeah, this is a very good roster, unit roster. And I don't think this is a very difficult start as well. You can attack and take settlement from your neighbor quite easily, actually, with your starting unit, because your neighbors, they are not very strong. They are pretty weak actually, and we have a wonder here in this settlement. So I think the Galatian start will be normal. Not too strong, not too weak. We actually need to upgrade our building to have better unit, and we need to get the reform to get the best units available to us. So this is normal. Okay, here comes the interesting part. The Numidian. The Numidian. Wow. One of my favorite. Yeah, because of their carry. They are powerful Numidian carry. This guy. Holy crap. That's the strongest javelin carry unit in the game. They have a special horse, Numidian horse, with a load. They are very fast. They are faster than most carry unit in the game. They are very well armored. They have the best javelin, and they have a lot of ammunition. Very good melee stat as well. This one is one of my favorite unit. They have ignored terrain penalty as well, which means they move fast on all terrain types, and they work best in desert terrain around here. That's so good. Gear layer deployment as well. And what's really good about the Marseille unit roster over here is that it's very simple but powerful. You have very strong peltas over here. This unit is a very solid one. Wow, look at it. 200 men strong. Yeah, 200 men strong. And you have what? You have a good amount of javelin, strong javelins. You have very decent armor, 20 armor for a javelin unit. And then you have very good melee stat. That is really high for a javelin man. That's better than most other sword unit in the game. Yeah, and with 200 men in their unit, this will be a very decent unit you can recruit right at the start of the campaign. Right at the start of the campaign. And with the very decent melee defense for this javelin man. And then you have the Numidian spearman, not too sappy either. Levitarius, but very good melee defense. Very nice units. Very nice units you can have right at the start of the campaign. Very good archer as well. This one. Very nice. And when you upgrade your barrack, you will get access to the Numidian Guard. A very powerful unit. First class population though, but totally worth it. They have monster stat and very good armor. And also over there you get your elite peltat. What a monster unit. Yeah, strongest javelins and very good melee stat. This guy, very powerful one. So basically you have very good spear, Very good javelin. Very good peltas. Later it will have access to some legionary as well. So good, right? Not as strong as the Roman legionary, but they will be able to fight effectively. And you have your powerful Numidian noble cavalry. Actually, it's not very far away. It's just level 2 stable over here. And then you have access to this powerful cavalry unit already. This guy, they will just destroy everything. They're the best. And the faction with the best unit is always strong. You just need to get that technology. And you actually have this right away. So you can just upgrade the stable here and get your powerful cavalry unit. You start at a client state of the Carthage, and it's both a bad thing and a good thing. The bad thing is that being a client state means you need to pay Carthage a bit of your income, and when the Carthage declare war, go to war with other faction, it will be asked to join war with them or not. And I think over here we would just betray the Carthage and we fight them right away, and we take their wealthy regions around here, like that. Right, it will not be too difficult, since we have very strong armies over here, very powerful one. Even the Numidian skirmisher cavalry here, the light one, the worst cavalry unit we can have right at the start of the campaign, they are not too shabby either. Yeah, they're very fast. Those also have the Numidian horse, and this guy, they will be very good in an open field battle. Very good in an open field battle. Good unit. But we do have to fight against Carthage, one of the stronger faction in the game, and we start in the desert, so moving around will be a problem. Yeah, and our starting settlement here also very far from each other. Yeah, we need to take this city to connect our two starting settlement actually. So Marseille would be normal. Yeah, cool and strong unit, but not so good starting position and starting situation. Okay, the next desert faction we have here is the Medivhi. And this faction, they have a very strong units roster. Yeah, very powerful one. Don't just by their look. Like this spear unit, for example, the Ethiopian spearman. They are one of the best Levi tire spear unit in the game, with 19 melee defense. Holy crap, that's really high on a Levi tire unit, right? And 15 armor is not bad either. This guy can hold the line very effectively. We have elephants as well, and this Meroitic Royal Guard is just really powerful, a very powerful hoplite unit. Okay, and as the Medivhi over here, we have access to some very cool infantry unit. Very cool infantry unit. The archer is the elite archer, very powerful one with long range and very strong missile damage. This guy, very useful. And we have the two-handed Ethiopian X-Man as well. So basically two-handed X unit who will destroy everything. And we have some pike. We have pikeman. We have meritic pikeman. Yeah, cheap pikeman. They will be very useful. So we can use the Levy spearman in the first line, and then back them up with this Levy pikeman. And we have the Sotel swordman curved sword unit with very high melee attack stat and very good weapon strength. This is also one of the very powerful unit we have as the midway. And over here we have some hoplites as well. Red Sea hoplites, not too strong, but they will be very useful. Heavy armor Axeman, and we have some royal guard over here, which is very powerful. But first class population, that's their drawback. But overall, this could be a very easy campaign because we have one elephant right at the start. Our levy unit here is very strong, very powerful. We can use them to fight against these neighbor easily, and we have good archers right away. The elite archers will be better, but this one would be good enough to fight against most enemy around this area. 200 men in their units as well, so more missile damage with this dude, right? We can easily take this settlement, that gold. We can easily take this one, and then we can easily take the Egypt's territory for a very, very powerful economy. So the medieval campaign will be easy. It's pretty easy, yeah. Why? So next we have the Massalia. Well, a Greek faction, Hellenic faction, and I think this is also a very powerful start you have. As Massalia, you have a very powerful city at the start of the campaign, a space support, a city, a good economy, and unique mechanics here. Yeah, right. At the Massalia, you will have access to the normal Greek units roster over here, but also it will have access to a special different barrack which will allow you to recruit the Gallic unit, Celto Gallic unit, which is very, very powerful. And right at the start, you can just use these hoplites to fight against the Iberian faction around here and take control of your starting province very easily. And later, with the Central Hellenic unit, you will have a very powerful army. Very, very powerful. And the population will not be a problem at all, since they will just use your third class population. So overall, a very, very powerful start. With the space support over here, you will be able to raise a very strong fleet to take control of this area. And you don't have any enemy at the start of the campaign. You can be friends with Rome, actually. You already friendly with Rome, and you can stay friendly with Rome and try to take all of this territory first before you turn before you betray it and attack the Roman later. So Massalia campaign will be easy, not very easy. You still have to fight, but it will be pretty easy. Okay, now another Greek colonist faction, that's the Conquest, and This is actually a very difficult campaign. Right, you start next to Carthage, next to the Bosphorus, and you have the Charpenters as your initial enemy. And don't believe that the Carthage, they are not friendly with you. They will declare war on you very early on. Even if we have non-influence back, they will just betray and declare war on you very early on. So basically, as a conquest, you will have to fight against the Bosphorus. They will declare war on you very soon, very early. And against the Carthage, and obviously against Charpenters over here. Your economy is pretty bad with just one small town like this, and your starting unit is really bad. That's the most difficult part of this campaign. You have very bad starting unit, and you will not be able to recruit good unit with the Greek barrack over here. Lie Hoplite, very bad one. The best unit available to you in the early game is actually the Levi Hoplite. Holy shit. That's the best unit available to you in the early game already. And they are so freaking bad. You know, right? Levi Hoplite, very bad. Later, when you finally manage to build your other barrack here, the Causian outpost, you will get access to some of the very good units, like the Cataphrag here, for example, very solid cavalry unit, and you have access to the Armadis heavy infantry, one of the best infantry unit in the game, I think. They have very good weapon strength, very good sharpness, and very good armor. This one is a very good infantry unit you can have at the conquest, but you need to upgrade this building to level 3 in order to get them. That will take a while, and you get access to this Cataphrag over here as well, which is also very cool. You have pikemen. They don't have shield, but with the support of some of the Levi spear units over here, they will be able to hold the enemy back just fine. And with the support of this Armadis heavy infantry, they will do well. They will do well. So basically, you will have good Cataphrag, good axe infantry. They use mixed actually. So mixed infantry and pikeman. Later, you can have some very good foot guard over here, actually. Yeah. But you will need to change this into an outpost, and then you need to upgrade it into at least to level 2 to get some decent unit. And it will require you to get some technology as well. This one, it will take a few turns to be able to get that. The early game will be very difficult as a conquest, having to fight against multiple and very powerful enemy without any good unit at all. The Levi Hoplite, they're pretty bad, really bad. So the best thing you can do over here is, I think, just stay back, try to defend yourself, get this Levi Hoplite. Seriously, the Levi Hoplites here, they are only good at a town defense battle. So we can try to stay inside our towns here, get some of the Levi Hoplites and try to defend inside the town, and hopefully we will be able to survive against the first few enemy attack over here. It's kind of cheesy. Hoplites defend a small town. It's pretty, but yeah, it's a cheesy strategy. But to survive this start, we just have to do that. we will not be able to rush this guy. We need 3 turns to move here. And by that time, they already have some units already. And with that kind of very bad unit, we will not be able to rush them. Obviously, we will not be able to fight against the Bosphorus, a much stronger opponent. And the costly here will be quite a challenge as well. So the conquest start would be very hard. Another very hard start we have. Yeah. A very hard start is the start that we'll have to struggle to survive. Not to expand, but to survive. It will be quite difficult to actually survive with the conquest over here. Okay, so about the Syracuse, I have a full video about how to start at the Syracuse. And the Syracuse campaign here will be pretty difficult because they start next to Carthage and Rome, and they will have to fight against both of them because both of them won your city. They won Syracuse. Okay, but also at the Syracuse you have very good tool to deal with the Roman and Carthage here, which is the crossbowman, a very powerful unit, and you can recruit them without limitation at the Syracuse. That's very good. Yeah, the Syracuse campaigns will be very interesting, mainly because of the crossbowman, and also you have some very solid infantry unit. You can recruit here the Italic swordman, the Samnas medium infantry. It's a solid sword unit with pretty good armor and decent melee stat. And you have some pretty good cavalry here. Not too strong, but they are decent, good enough to support your crossbowman. And you have regular Greek hoplites and thing, and yeah, the Syracuse start will be hard, but not too hard, not very hard. Once you get the crossbowman, fighting battle against the Roman and against the Carthage will be much easier. That's a very powerful unit you can have at the Syracuse. Okay, so the last faction in this group will be the Bosphorus, and this is also a pretty powerful faction. You start with a full province, and this is a very good one. Very good one. You can build it up and have a very good income from it. We have 2 resources, grain and wine over here. We can get very good income from agriculture from both of these resources. Okay, we're starting at war with one faction over here. They're nomads, right? They're nomads. So basically, it's just a lot of horse archer. And we do have the tool to deal with them. We have the archers. Just spam these archers and levy spearmen, and we should be fine against this nomad faction. Alright. And at the Bosphorus, you have a very powerful unit roster. Very powerful one. Over here, you have horse archer. You have Fangsman. Right. You have really good spearman, heavy spearman. You have good infantry. I think you also have cataphract, right? Yeah, this royal cavalry. Almost at cataphract level. So overall, a very good unit roster as the Bosphorus. Yeah, more horse archer over here. Scythian lancer as well. very strong cavalry with very high speed and some ammunition here as well. That's a very good shock cavalry. Yeah, heavy horse archer. Really, really nice. Cool. Some armors archer as well. Oh, this archer, so powerful. So powerful. Heavy spearman. Yeah. Axeman. Something. Noble cavalry. Cataphract. Yeah, they're cataphract. Good. And noble horse archer as well. With very strong bow. So, rich province, a very powerful in this roster, and not too difficult enemy around here. Not too difficult. They will be quite annoying, since fighting against the Nomad in this big area will be really annoying. Mainly because you have to travel a very far distance between settlements to get to their territories and actually attack them. But we can always just move this way, declare war on the conquest, a much weaker opponent, and then expand into Anatolia, where it's much richer than the Nomad over here. Alright. So this campaign will be easy. A strong province and a very good units roster. But we still have to fight. So easy. Okay, now we have the eastern faction of the game in the game. Start with the Costly over here. Alright, as a Costly, the situation look pretty good. We start next to the Conquest and the Ardent, and we have no enemy. Right, let's just start of the campaign. The Conquest and the Ardent over here, both of them are easy targets. We can easily take them out. They are much weaker than us, obviously. We have access to some pretty good archer right at the start of the campaign. They're pretty good. And the Levy Spearman will be enough to fight our first field battle. Okay, we can upgrade this to infantry 10 level 2 right away, and we had a set to the Armagy heavy infantry right away. That's so good. These Armagy infantry, they're very strong, powerful unit. And as the Costly, we have the same good noble cavalry. Cataphract. Yeah. Good infantry. Good cavalry. Pretty good missile unit. Yeah, that's right. And they are available much sooner compared to the Conquest. And we have a walled settlement. We have a city. So, better protection. Over here, when we upgrade the city, we have access to some of these pikemen as well. No shield, but they're still pikemen. They will still be able to fight in melee pretty well against most enemy unit. So overall, the Costly campaign here will be easy. Yeah, we have a strong unit roster. Strong infantry, strong cavalry. We have horse archers also, right? And pretty weak neighbor. Okay, and next will be my favorite faction, the Parthia. Well, I had a campaign with the Parthia on my channel, and actually, the Parthia start can be quite difficult. They start with only one settlement, and their nearest targets will be Carthage, a city. You will need to recruit all of the mercenary available over here and try to rush this city. And as Parthia, they are cavalry faction. You have very good cavalry at Parthia. Very, very strong cavalry. You have very good horse archer. Noble horse archer. You have very good cataphragm. Very good cataphragm. Powerful faction over here. Your infantry will not, not very good at all. But with your powerful cavalry, horse archer, and cataphragm, you should be able to win battle quite easily. Very easily with your powerful cavalry unit. This one is also a very powerful horse archer unit. The bodyguard. Right. Difficult starting situation, but very powerful in its roster. You also start next to the Seleucid satraps, but it's not a big deal. You can always wait for this guy to rebel against the Seleucid, and then you attack him. It will be very easy. So the Parthia start, I will rate it at hard. Yeah, it takes some skill, micromanagement skill, to use their cavalry effectively in battle, and their starting location is not really easy. Yeah, just one small settlement, and they do not have the upkeep reduction for cavalry like the Nomad faction, so their weak economy in the very early game can be a problem. You will not be able to recruit a lot of very strong cavalry unit as a Parthia compared to the Nomad. The strength of the Nomad is that you can get a lot of powerful horse archer and cataphragm really early on because of the upkeep reduction. That's the strength of the Nomad, and that's very powerful. At the Parthia, you also get strong cavalry like the Nomad faction, but they will be expensive, not as cheap as the Nomad faction, and you don't really have a very good economy in the start of the campaign, so they will be hard. Okay, the next Eastern faction we will talk about will be the Armenia. One of the very cool faction we have here. Right. Okay, so at Armenia, we have a full province here and one settlement in Syria as well. Okay. At the start, we started war with this small faction over here, which will not be a problem at all. But we also have bad relation with someone around here. The Conchis and the Castly will probably declare war on it as well. But overall, it's very manageable. This one, they are very weak, and they are actually very far away from it, so they are not really a threat at all. As the Armenia, the starting unit, they are just kinda not so good. But when we manage to upgrade our barrack here, we have a bunch of very cool units to use. Yeah, we have pikeman. Whoop. We have legionary spearman. That's the late unit though. We have some very good spearman here as well. Yeah, so actually Armenia, they have so many cool units to use, but in the late game in the late game. The coolest unit, and I really like it, is that one, the Nakara Thorax Infantry. That's a very cool unit. They are X-Men, right? But with very high armor and good melee stat. I think this one is the strongest recruitable X unit in the game. They are just weaker than the Kimberly Noble X-Men, but the Kimberly Noble X-Men is limited to bodyguard only. General bodyguard only. And this guy, they're fully recruitable. So we can just get a lot of this dude. But their late unit, the early unit of the Armenia can be quite weak. They do not have a lot of strong early unit. The cavalry, they have access to horse archer, armor horse archer, a very strong horse archer unit. They have access to cataphract early on. Some very cool units as well, like cavalry. Yeah, very cool unit roster. Nakara cavalry here, with very high armor, but I don't think we would use this cavalry at all when we already have the noble cataphract here, right? Okay, with full province at the start of the campaign, our economy will be quite good as well. But because of the lack of the good early game unit, I think the Armenia campaign will be only normal. Not too hard, not too easy. We do have some enemy at the start of the campaign, and we do not have very good unit. At least we need at least a couple of turns to get the technology and to build the barrack up to get a few better unit to fight against the enemy in this area. The early game we had to rely on only basic slinger and Levi spearman. But our enemy in this area will be quite weak as well. The biggest threat of the Armenia will be the Carthage. But if we manage to get good relation with the Carthage, I think it should be fine. And the late game armies of the Armenia is really powerful, and more importantly that they look so good. I think they are one of the best looking faction in the game. The Nakara units look really good, and also their legionary, their pikemen in the late game, they look so good. Okay, so the next one we have the Astropacan, the media, and I think this is one of the easier start we have. We have almost a full province, and we don't have any enemy at the start of the campaign. So basically, we start next to the whole bunch of the Seleucid satraps. We can just stay back, build up, improve our economy, build up our infrastructure over here, upgrade the barrack, build another barrack here to get the horse archer, to get the cataphract, and just recruit enough unit, and then wait for the Seleucid satrap to rebel against their overlord, and then we pick them up one by one. This will not be a difficult campaign. And as the media, wow, they also have a very good units roster. I think all the Easterner here have good units roster. Like over here we have some very cool and useful unit to use, like this where that we have a very good spearman here, the apple bearer, very solid one. Good spear infantry unit. We have very good archer, we have later we have very good axeman as well. We have a very good axe unit at after reform, a very good one. And as the media, we actually have the best cataphract unit in the game. They're the best. The late Iranian cataphract is the best cataphract unit in the game. And then we have very good heavy noble horse archer. So wow, that's really powerful. Basically, we have very powerful infantry, very powerful archer unit. We also have access to the very good and effective Persian archer early, right? They are really useful. 200 men strong and a good bow. And we also get the good Sparta here, a decent spear unit to use in the early game. Yeah, very good one. Combined with the strong cataphract horse archer. Okay, we have a very powerful unit roster at the media. And we do not have any immediate threat around here. We are friendly with the Armenia. We can try to be friend with them, and then we can pick them up. After we can take this Seleucid satrap territories after they rebel against their master. So this campaign will be easy. I think it will be easier than compared to the Armenia campaign because we have better starting unit. Definitely better with the Eastern archer and the Sparta spearman. Definitely better than the starting units of the Armenia. Okay, and the last Eastern faction we talk about here will be the Pontus. The Pontus, alright. And they are a very interesting faction as well. We start at war with a small faction over here. And I think we can take them out quite easily. Very easily. We are defensive allied with the Britania over here as well. So as a Pontus, we can actually have some pretty good unit right at the start of the campaign. We have access to the Sparta, a very cost-effective unit in the early game. And then we can use the Persian sling as well. Or we can use the Pontic hoplites, Sparta, and Slinger, and light cavalry should be enough for the early game as a Pontus. And later, you do have some access to some very cool unit. You have pikemen, but you need to wait for the reform to get access to this pikeman unit. You have the very cool Galatian warrior with very high armor. Second class population unit with really good armor and melee stat. That's cool. That's so cool. You have hot archers? Yeah. Good one. A good one as well. You have hoplite. Yeah. You have access to Persian archer. 200 men strong archer with good bow. And the Pontic heavy archer as well. I don't think they would be very useful. I like the Persian archers more. But overall a cool unit to use. And then some very cool units at the Pontus. Cool. The Noble Skirmish Cavalry as well. A very good unit. Very fast for a very heavy armored Javelin Cavalry unit like this. 7 speed. Pretty good. And as the Pontus, you will have access to side chariots, but you will need to build a siege engine workshop to be able to recruit them. We need to build the workshop. It will be another cool unit to use as a Pontus. So overall, this enemy here can be easily dealt with, but actually it's not a good idea to attack them right now because you have to move through the Galatian territory to get to this guy, and it takes quite a few turns to be able to get there. A better approach to this campaign is to take out the champions here real quick and then go back to kill the Sinople. You will be able to do that quite easily because yeah, you have pretty good starting unit. Hoplites will be able to hold the line, and when you use the Sparta here to support them, they will be able to do really well against most enemy in this area. And then we try to get rid of this dude, or we don't even care about them at all. And then we go ahead and take the Armenia territories here. Should be easy enough, because the Armenians, they do have very bad starting unit, remember? So we should be able to take their settlement, their territories quite easily. And with that much territories, we can already snowball at the Pontus. We just need to get the horse archer, and that should be enough. Horse archer, Sparta, slinger, and hoplite, more than enough to fight against most enemy in this area. Alright, so Pontus would be easy, pretty easy. Good starting unit. They have access to hoplite right on turn 1, and Sparta as well, and then it's not too far away from horse archer. So yeah, easy. We can take the Armenia territories quite easily as well. Right, and now let's go and talk about the Germanic faction, shall we? Alright, so the first faction we will talk about in the Germanic tribe group over here will be the Legio, the Lugi. Okay, and this is also a very interesting faction we have in the game. Yeah, this is a very interesting start. We are pretty far away from our neighbor, and we started work with this faction over here, the Guttons, but they are very far away from it. Very far away from it. It takes quite a few turns to get there, to fight them. And as the Lugi, we have pretty bad starting unit. Pretty bad. Wow, this archer, they're so weak. I think this is the worst archer in the game, right? Probably. We do have some better archers here, but they're just archer. We have spear, Eastern Germanic spear levy with no armor at all, and very bad morale. Very bad light spear here as well. 1 armor. Very bad melee defense. Assault infantry, pretty bad one. Yeah. But actually we have some pretty cool mercenary. Yeah. The Sarmatian mercenary armor lancer here would be the MVP in most of our early battle. We have to rely heavily on these two units. They like horse archers here as well. We will need to rely heavily on them in the first few battles. Our old cavalry is really bad, not worth using at all. Don't try to build that. Just get the mercenary horse archer. They're much better. And we try to upgrade the barrack, infantry barrack, to get the better unit in our roster, and they're not really good either. The hairy unit here is the best one we have access to, but they are very far away in the barrack, right? We need to rely on this medium swordman, which is not really strong at all. Yeah, medium spearman, very bad armor, and medium swordman with not so good stat as well. That's the best we can have in the roster. After we can have some hairy units, it will get better. Like these dudes, they are really good. 4-speed unit. 4-speed unit with good melee capability. And scare. This guy as well. Good one. Offensive spear. But very bad starting unit. And it will take a while for us to actually get some decent unit. And as the Lucas, they have all of the units they have are light armor short unit. So we do not have any units that can possibly hold the line against the enemy, right? You need to fight aggressively, and I think you have to rely a lot in ambush. Rely a lot on ambushing and yeah, guerrilla tactic against your enemy. And starting in the northern part of the map like this is also adding to the difficulty because of the harsh winter, because of the DC, because of the low campaign map movement range and very far away settlement like this. So Lucas campaign would be hard. I think it can be very hard actually. It can be very hard because very bad early unit. You need really a lot of time to get some good unit to fight, and you will have to rely heavily on mercenary in the early game. And movement range, campaign movement range will be a very big problem for the Lucas campaign as well. Your neighbor very far away from you. That's also very bad. Okay, the next Germanic faction we'll talk about is the Suebi, and this is actually the easiest Germanic faction among all three of them. We start with a major settlement, and as the Suebi, we already have access to some pretty good units right at the start of the campaign. We have the proven spearman over here with shield wall formation, and they have very good melee stat, 19 melee defense and 20 armor. It's very good on a shield wall spearman. That's very good. We also have access to some pretty good spear units over here as well. These 4-speed Suebi light spearmen are very useful as a flanking unit. They do have very good sharpness and very good weapon strength. Good unit. And we have the Suebi veteran skirmisher over here as well. Very good start, good javelins, good speed. So very good early unit. Very useful mercenary around this area as well. Especially the bear warrior tier with scare ability and very strong weapon strength. And we have a bunch of different targets we can go for. I think if it were me, I will take the Boii settlement over here right away. On turn 2, hide some spear wars unit here, get some mercenary. We do start with another very cool unit, that is the Champions of T-Wars, a very powerful unit as well. Wow, look at that, 17 melee attack, huge sharpness, weapon strength, very good morale, 3 speed, holy shit, scare ability. That's so powerful. And we attack the Boii right away. Get another general as Kavi. we can have a few jealousy as well. No carry option, but we can also use the King Gods 300 men strong Shield Wars infantry unit. You know what that means? Very powerful unit. With 200 only, but they will be very strong. Yeah, and we can take this Boii settlement really easily at the swivel. We have really good unit. Or if we can recruit some of these archer on the second turn, we can also attack the city with our stronger spear war infantry and very good melee infantry unit like this. We can actually attack the city and take it with ease. Don't even need to wait for the enemy to sally out. Okay. Suibi campaign. Very powerful. And we have access to some very cool units. Later, the late game armies of the Suibi is really strong as well. We do not have good cavalry, but we have very powerful infantry. Very powerful infantry. Yeah, the Germanic short man. Very good. Very good. Charged spearman. Yeah, right. We have pikemen as well. Holy shit. A really good unit roster. And powerful infantry. Alright, so the Suibi will be normal. Alright, so the last faction we have over here is the Cimbri. And also a very interesting one. The most interesting one in the Cimbri. Yeah, with the Cimbri here, they're noble X-Men. Yeah. That's the strongest X unit in the game, and I like access. They have 300 men in their unit, huge melee stat, and they have defensive formation. That's the only X unit in the game with defensive formation, and also 300 men. So that's the best X unit in the game, but they are only limited at the general bodyguard unit, which is kinda a shame. And really with that we have a recruitable version of them in the Cimbri roster. Maybe with just 200 men and maybe a little bit less armor, but with defensive formation. Defensive formation would be very good on an X unit like that. Alright, so we start in the far north of the map, and there's a lot of trouble in this area because low supply, very poor regions, and low population, harsh winter, disease, everything, and the neighbor is very far away from it. It will be more difficult to rush anyone with the Cimbri, and we are dirt poor with just one small settlement here. We do have some cool unit, cool starting unit, good one, very good one actually. We have this Cimbri heavy spearman with defensive formation and 300 men. That's pretty good unit over here. Not too strong, but quite decent. We have the Cimbri X-Man, Levi X unit, which is very cheap and effective. Good weapon strength and good bonus versus infantry. No armor though. And then we have the pretty solid Levi Spearman over here. So no cavalry though, no cavalry, and pretty bad mercenary in this area. So once we upgrade our barrack here, actually not the barrack, when we upgrade our settlement here, we get access to some pretty cool unit at the Cimbri, and the strongest unit we can recruit here would be this guy, the elite skirmisher. Look at the start. Wow, they have the best javelins with good ammunition and very good melee capability. 29 charge bonus on a javelin unit, and they have 200 men as well. But this will be a very difficult start because we are very far away from the neighbor, and what worse over here is that we have a very bad trade at the Cimbri that reduced campaign map movement rate. It makes the situation even worse in the northern part of the map like this, because in the northern part of the map like this, the settlement, they are very far away from each other. We need to move very far distance to get to the enemy. The supply are very bad. Population are very bad. Economy are very bad. And when we cannot get to the enemy settlement, we need to spend a lot of time moving, which makes the situation worse. Yeah, right. And the enemy around us, they actually have much better starting unit compared to the Cimbri over here. So this one will be a very hard campaign. That is really a very hard campaign. Okay, so over here we have complete the ranking, the faction ranking based on their campaign difficulty. Right. So thank you very much for watching. If you find this video useful and interesting, please leave a like and comment below, and you can subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future. And again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday for all of you.